It's match day, baby. You know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, and we bring you the pre-match build-up for today's game as Tottenham travel to the City ground, and I cannot wait. As you can see, we're joined by co-host Jack, Kuva Sexy, and James from Spurs Related. Jacko, how are you keeping, my man?
Keeping well, David. I'll keep it short and sweet. It's game day. We know what we're going to be talking about. We're trying to get the Harris Army pumped up for this one. Give them the lowdown as well. Maybe give a bit of respect to Forest, but probably no need, Dave. I know you have probably plenty of, kind of zingers and whatnot, lined up for them. Looking forward to it, Dave.
No, I absolutely cannot wait for today. This is what it's all about, And now that the games are coming twice a week, it's even better. Kuva Sexy, how are you keeping, my man?
Really good. I'm really looking forward to this one. Forest got a great home record under Steve Cooper. That's going to be a problem, but nobody gets more points than Conte, other than the Liverpool and City of the last year. So it's what we do: win games, pick up points. I feel pretty confident today.
Yeah, same here. It's great to see everybody so confident. I absolutely love it. Jamesy boy, how are you keeping, my man?
All good, lads. Always a pleasure. That's a good start. Pleasure to be on this channel. And yeah, really excited for the game. It feels like it's been a little while since we played, but it's not. And then we've had the draw in between. So yeah, obviously getting hyped about that is very exciting as well. Only 10 days till our first Champions League game, by the way. Absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that. That really, I'll be emotional that day. Back in the big time, I thought it'd be a lot longer since we'll be back there, but Don Conte has done his job. But look, we'll take some people from the comments and then we'll crack into it. But it is time to turn Forest into a garden, so I cannot wait. THFC till I die. 1 second, my internet's playing up. Now we have it. He says, ladies and gentlemen, live from Kildare, Ireland, Brooklyn, New York, with the best duo in the YouTube world. They're here to build up another Spurs win. Let's get ready to rumble. Absolutely love that, Dermot. Big yourself up. We've got the regular with a lovely font name change. Says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, my man. And Welsh guy says, big up, lads. Always a pleasure. Bank holiday, pub, sunny weather, Harris Army. Only thing that can make it even better is a Spurs statement win. Well, Welsh gal, that is coming, so do not worry.
Keep the IPAs flowing, Welsh gal. You got to be able, especially you should be celebrating 3-0 today. Big up, Welsh gal.
Big up, Welsh gal. We've got Wayne Bonner in the house this afternoon. I hope everyone is well. Looking forward to the game later. Hate the waiting, though. Look, I don't mind the waiting. I don't like these early kickoffs. We never perform well in them, so I do not mind waiting till half 4 if I'm being honest. Because for me, it ensures 3 points, my man. But big up, Wayne. It's good to see you. How is life treating you, my man? Mick Hermelot, good to see you in the building. We've got Wembley 1 says, good afternoon, boys. I'm hoping for a better flowing and more consistent performance than we have seen so far. If we get that, we should get 3 points. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely. Today is all about the performance. Look, I don't want to just get over the line today. I want to dominate all over the pitch, my man, and we will be talking about the performance very, very shortly. Dark Sun G, good to see you in, my man. I hope you are keeping well. It says, unlucky that our rivals won, but we should win today. So we should still be ahead of Blues, Man United and Liverpool. Foxes loses to 10 men Chelsea. Fulham unlucky, in my opinion. Yeah, Fulham were unlucky, but once Arsenal scored, you could see it was coming. I mean, Nketiah, that guy missed 3 chances more or less before that goal came in. So, look, do you know what? It just sickens my whole seeing them smiling and happy. And did everyone see the 30 boys dressed up as Mikel Arteta in the black T-shirts? Absolutely ridiculous as well. I mean, it's a joke. Mammy, will you go out to Penny's and buy me 30 T-shirts for me and the boys heading down to Arsenal at the weekend? I mean, it's just absolutely
I was a bit confused.
Did they get them light bulbs as well?
And all carrying light bulbs running after the players. They're all connected, Kuba. We have to remember that they're all connected.
But honestly, that's what you see next. You see people walking down towards the ground with fucking light bulbs attached to their head, strapped around their chin. It's ridiculous.
When you've seen the celebrations, you almost thought they won the Premier League already, with how they were celebrating as well. And, it was just a newly promoted Fulham, at home as well. And they actually went 1-0 down, to begin with. But, the celebrations was absolute hysteria. You thought they won the Premier League.
They couldn't even sing Gabrielle's song. When Gabrielle scored, they were singing the Saliba song. It's ridiculous. But big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. Good to see you in the house. We've also got Joff Tootin says, like I replied to you on Twitter, 4-0. Absolutely love that, my man. Loving the confidence. Big yourself up, my man. The Hot Spurs going 5-0. Absolutely love that. Big yourself up. Big up Shamu Van Spurs. Big up Brett Lockheed. Good to see you, my man. Big ups, Farah Bog says, Son, big wake up. 4-2 to Spurs. Look, I think Son will perform today, my man. Rob Ragnarsson says, come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. Big up, Tio. Big up, Chris, man. Good to see you in the building. Good up, big up, Sushant Bouchard. And we've also got Zar Spurs TV says, Kais, big yourself up, my man. Mark New is in the house. Big yourselves up, lads. Smash the like button, guys, to help the channel. Absolutely love that. Good to see you, Marky boy. Simon Cohen, great to see you back around these parts again, my man. Big yourself up. And I hope life is treating you well, sir. Good to see you. We've got Anvil as well. Great to see you, my man. Mr. Edwardson, good to see you, brother. Paddy Higgins says, Conte not talking like Sonny will be dropped. I'm not against Richie starting this one. Give Sonny a break. Well, look, we will crack into that very, very shortly, my man. Elias is in the house as well. Good to see you. He says, hello from Limassol, Cyprus. Good to see you in the building. Very exciting place to be tuning in from, my man. Great to see you. Who else have we got here? There's so many people in. I'm just going to have to start skipping down the queue, I think. But I don't want to do it. I feel bad, but I might have to do it. Big up Spencer as well. We've got a Forest fan in the house here. Who's new? My man.
Love the name.
You're ready to take that L today. Hopefully, because it's coming. So enjoy it. But good to see you in the building. I don't actually mind Forest, to be fair. I have a soft spot for you. Wisdom, good to see you in the house, my brother. We've also got Adrian Chia says, big up, lads. Sunny to score today. 2-0 Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Well, look, today marks the 7 years since we've signed Sonny. He signed on this day 7 years ago. So as we're going through this, guys, feel free to put your favorite Sonny memories into the chat and we will bring them up as we go along. But Adrian Chia, I'm confident in Sonny today. I don't know why. Just woke up. Very, very confident in this guy. I think he'll have a good performance today. Big yourself up, Adrian Chia. Really appreciate the support, buddy, and loving the confidence. And banana bread, absolutely love that. Never had it, Kuva. Yeah, have you ever had banana bread?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Nice.
It's so. Yeah, you do it right. Yeah.
You got to do it right.
Very nice. Homemade.
Got fine banana bread taste.
Get the bread and jam the banana in. Now, where you go.
It's not quite
the old-fashioned way.
It is the way I do it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come on, you Spurs. Today is the day we click into gear. 3-0. Hugo Lloris hat trick. I love it. Perhaps, we just start giving him the free kicks because we're going to need somebody to take the free kicks, Banana. And maybe, Hugo's been working on them in the training ground. Harry Kane, he won't even let Sonny take them, his best friend in the team. Maybe Hugo can sneak in as the captain, maybe overrule Harry Kane and start taking the free kicks. That I can see that's how it happens.
Hugo Lloris hat trick. I need what's in your banana bread, my man. Big yourself up, brother. And good to see you in the building. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for your support, my man.
And DJ Samuels, Dave, celebrating 2 months, saying, "Come on, you Spurs! Big up, DJ. Hopefully you're keeping well as well." And I love the icon as well. The very smart Bart Simpson icon. I love it.
I love it. Big up, my man. Good to see you in the building. And hopefully we get the win for all you guys out there today. Kuva already caught me.
And he actually says 4-0 too. He says 4-0.
Oh,
sorry, I missed that.
He's confident. I love that. He's confident. I love the confidence through the fan base today. It is great to see. Kuva already seen me beforehand. Listen to my Spurs songs, giving him a little pre-match pump up already beforehand. But here we are right now, guys. Now, of course, today we are away at the City Ground. It is a 4:30 p.m. kickoff. The man in the middle is Craig Pawson. So hopefully, he does the right decisions towards Tottenham. And in the VAR room, it is Stuart Atwell. Again, another one. Write that name down. If he gives stupid decisions against us, you know where to be sending your hate mail to. Now, if you want to watch the game in the USA, it is on NBC Sports or Peacock. And in the UK and Ireland, it is on Sky Sports today. And guys, make sure you tune back here later on for our watch along at 4:15 p.m. Now, injury news. Romero, of course, still out with his muscle injury. But Romero's, this is Conte's quotes from the press conference. Romero's recovery is going well, and he's expected to be training with the rest of the team next week. He'll miss the Forest game, Mora and Gill missed today's training and a decision will be made on them RE Forest tomorrow, which was yesterday. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't really keep an eye on the news too much yesterday, but I can tell you now, Lucas Moura is not down to an illness like they were saying it was his birthday party during the week. So I'd say it's more down to has he recovered from his birthday party. And Conte also said Skip will be returning to training next week as well. Now for Forest, Omar Richards and Musa Niakate are ruled out for them with injuries, while Jack Colback and Cheku Kuyate are doubts. Now look, let's start getting into it. I mean, we'll start with you, Jack. What are your thoughts heading into today's game, my man? Do you expect Spurs to dominate all over the pitch?
It's a game that we want to dominate in. It's a game that we probably should, flex our muscles because, I did, look at Forest schedule, Dave, and they, they're kind of actually, in the position where they've played mostly away games. So they started out, playing at Newcastle, lost 2-0. Then their one win they did get, against West Ham. And that was actually, pretty impressive win for them. But then, against Everton, they didn't really play so well. So it's kind of like a team that doesn't seem to perform very well, you could say, away from home. Perhaps maybe not actually a very good team at the moment, but they sort of seem to be a much better team kind of at home, kind of like Kuva sort of suggested with, I believe, the clean sheets and, kind of just their recent record at home. Then again, though, Dave, playing against West Ham, not really a big club. They're actually hosting a big club this time. So I do kind of reckon that, Nottingham Forest will probably struggle against us. And as well, it's kind of a game that I do want to see us sort of, dominate the likes of possession, sort of just kind of dictate the game a bit more. Because in the other games, it felt like we weren't, if you know what I mean.
No, 100%. It's for me, I want to win, but I want to win well today. It is about the performance today. You're absolutely spot on, Jacko. Kuva, what's your thoughts heading into today's game, my man?
Yeah, I think we'd all like to see better football, wouldn't we? But
yeah,
the team isn't going to have changed that much, so I don't see where it's going to really come from. I think this might be just one of those where we have to just hang on, just get the result, and wait until we've got players fit and a full squad to choose from. Then we can do something to adjust the way the team's playing. I think Forest have got a few bits of, there's some danger to their game. The lad up front that nobody knows how to pronounce the name.
Taiwo Iwani. Yeah, Taiwo
Iwani.
Yeah.
I think he came from Liverpool originally or something like that. He's obviously a bit of a handful. I think we've got the kind of defence that can get caught flat-footed.
They have two good strikers, I agree. Brendan Johnson, very talented, and then Iwani, I would say, comes from Germany's sort of Burnley team, like Union Berlin, and so he kind of adjusts really well. He's kind of a bit of a unit, by the looks of it too. So I'm interested. Kuba,
That's weird. I thought this was the lad that started off at Liverpool. Oh, he's been around a bit on loan, hasn't he?
He's been around.
I know he's been at Mainz Frankfurt for a little bit. Because it's one of the German teams I follow, but just spotted it, came up on the radar.
But they have they have two sneaky good strikers up top, I would say, alongside Jesse. And I think it's actually their defense that's maybe a bit weaker by the looks of things, or at least in terms of quality. They have kept some clean sheets, but I don't know. It feels like that's the part that you go after them. But then again, our defense is a bit leaky, as Dave likes to say. And, I would think, Forrest's best part of themselves is kind of that front three of Lingard and those two strikers.
They're a little bit of an unknown quantity in a lot of the team, aren't they? They just signed that many players.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how it goes. Mind you, they did dispatch the mighty West Ham, so they must be pretty good, yeah.
Love it. I love it. And James, what's your thoughts heading into the game today, my man?
My thoughts are I'm confident. I'm confident with a win. But also, I think it's quite a good indication for the game against West Ham on Wednesday, because obviously, as you were just saying, Kuva, West Ham got absolutely battered by Forest last week. So if we can get a result comfortably and we comfortably win at Forest, I would be even more confident going into the game on Wednesday. I mean, I'm confident going to West Ham at the moment anyway. I mean, they haven't even got 1 point yet, so they're bottom of the league. It's a relegation team at the moment, but I'm confident, and I think I agree without going too much into depth. I think Sonny is going to have a good game because we've said it time and time again. He goes quiet for 3-4 games. People start saying, "Yeah, let's put him on the bench." He won't be benched, and he'll just play absolutely phenomenally, bounce back, and then go on a goal scoring. It'll be like the floodgates opening in the next few games. I really do believe that.
No, 100%. Look, I'm not worried about Sonny at all. I know he's going to perform consistently. Big up Banana Bread. He is a new
Becoming a
YouTube
fan show
member.
member.
Big yourself up. Hopefully, we'll see you every Monday and every Friday, my man. And bring some of that banana bread with you. I want to see what it looks like, my man.
Yeah, you got to share it with the rest of the fan show members. You got to share it with the rest of them. Banana bread. You can't. If you bring one piece, you got to share for everybody.
Big up banana bread. Now, look, my thoughts going into the day is, look, I think we should be on the slightly cautious side because we are the big fish coming today, and they will be up for it. But if we're being honest with ourselves, and I get this, look, let's not be overconfident. Some would say cocky, etc., etc. If we're being real with ourselves, it's Nottingham Forest. They've only come up from the championship. They've got like 20-odd new players. We should be slapping these today. We should be beating these today and beating them well, especially if we want to go where I want to go to, which is to the very summit, to the very top of the league. So we should be beating teams like Forest today with no troubles whatsoever. And I know some people are going to say, Dave, you're too confident. Respect. Yeah, look, maybe, but I don't really respect many teams, so I'm sorry. Sorry to tell you that. But Jacko, Tottenham made the trip to the City Ground to face the top-flight newcomers Forest. What have you, from what you have seen from Forest, what are you expecting from them then today?
I mean, we are coming up, yet again against sort of, a team that does, feel the back three or, is comfortable, doing that sort of system. We did, kind of know, coming up against Wolves, they sort of were capable of switching to a back three if they needed to. Chelsea, played with the back three, originally. And then, in the case, I think of Southampton, even though Southampton, I think now have kind of, gone away from their back three. They played their first game against us in a back three. So we're weirdly kind of, continuing that trend of, coming up against sort of similar shapes, you could say. Obviously very different systems, but, very, similar shapes. I think in this case, what I am a bit interested in is that sort of, that front three, because I do feel like Forest, that is the way that could hurt us. I do expect us to score. I would be disappointed if we didn't. I think we should be able to, regardless of, them being able to keep a clean sheet at home against the bubble blowers and regardless of their sort of kind of clean sheet record. I feel like, like you said, the world-class strikers of Sonny, Harry Kane, Kulusevski, or even if they wanted to play Richarlison in this game, I think should be enough to cause them more problems. And even someone mentioned in the comments, as much as we don't want to give West Ham, any praise, they really did miss a lot of, kind of clean, like kind of clear-cut chances, and they probably should have, scored at the end of the day. So it does show that, they obviously could concede. So if Spurs were able to, kind of at least keep it tight in the back, I think we should win this game. I'm actually more worried about maybe, Dave, Forest coming out in the first 15, 20 minutes, coming out really hot and kind of coming out really fast. I even kind of spoke about it in Stats with Jack with kind of a few different animations saying, like, I feel like they'll sit deep on us, but maybe in the first 15 minutes with all the kind of the adrenaline of actually hosting a big club this time, they probably, might kind of come after us a bit, maybe break out the shell, and we could actually crumble. We have, started off first halves quite poor before. So if we were to maybe struggle against Forest, just to round it off, just to answer your question, if we were to struggle against Forest, it could be the first 15 minutes because maybe they might come after us with a bit of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And they have a good front three, which I'll say again, and they have a good front three.
I'd agree with that. I think the first 15, 20 minutes for me is crucial. Just get through that unscathed, and I think we'll be all right. Jack Louis Crypto wants to know what time it is in America. He's
I was about to answer, yeah. I'm on the East Coast, so it's not so bad. It's not so bad, Louis. Big up, brother. I think it's only 8 o'clock now. Not even bad at all.
There you are, my man. There you are, Louis. Well, 8 o'clock. Some would say it's still early, Jacko, but fair play to you. Kuva, Forest beat Premier League opposition at the City Ground last season in the FA Cup. They beat who was it? Arsenal, Leicester, and they beat West Ham there this season. We are the first of the big clubs, and I'll say that again, the first of the big clubs to head to the City Ground this season. The home crowd will be bouncing, like Jack was alluding to, and they will also be up for it. Now, Forest have won 13 of the last 16 home games, and we usually do not start well in the first 15, 20 minutes. How important is we get through them first 15, 20 minutes unscathed, or have we proved that actually doesn't matter because we did go behind versus Southampton and twice versus Chelsea?
Well, there's only so long you can get away with gifting the opposition a lead, isn't there? Especially away from home. It's going to get their home fans up and being their 12th man. yeah, I think we could have sort of take the sting out of the game at first. Maybe even look to get a goal ourselves. Just get the home fans to pipe down. And then we can control the game. That's what Conte's all about. He wants the game under control. Doesn't matter how much possession they have. Just leave them passing it around in their own half. As soon as he gets near ours, we deal with it. See the game out. Add to the goal tally. It's an easy thing to say on paper, but when we actually get to the game, there's a reason Forest win all those home games. They are competent. They've got a good manager. They've signed some exciting players. But I think it's going to take a while for them all to settle down. We'll probably see them improving as the season goes on. It's a good time to play them at their place. Even when they're at full strength, when they come to our place, we'll dispatch them, no problem. But this is a potential banana skin. Or should I say banana bread? Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just a prime for Sonny returning to form because being question marks over him, what better way to put that to bed than score? I'm going to go for a hat trick, sod it.
Oh,
hat trick.
Someone had to say it. Someone had to say it.
You can smell the smoke coming off Moondog's trainers as he's sprinting down to the bookies right now, putting that one on. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Dark Sun G says, Sun 4 goals versus Southampton is my favourite memory. Also, I want to see us win 5-0 by 60-65 minutes so we can rest the players for West Ham United. Sun, Kulu, Richie, Kane, Basuma to score. Jack, what do you want to say, Dark Sun G here, my man? And by the way, can Sun replicate the 4 goals today that he scored against Southampton? Kuva's gone with 3. Can he do 4?
I mean, he might as well, if he's already bagging 3. I know Sonny, get a cherry on top there. But I feel like, every time, we've spoke to rival fans or, the opposition fans, Dark Sun G, we kind of want them, at least I know Dave wants them to say, when you ask them the question, who's the most dangerous player, who's the guy that you kind of fear most? It's weirdly, maybe not weirdly, what am I saying? It's Son every time. It really is. I'm kind of, when I count it, it seems to be the player that most opposition fans are just the most fearful of. Perhaps because Son is kind of, the final kind of piece of, kind of our attack. He's the guy who sort of, puts the dagger in, kind of when we are getting ahead, when we do kind of have those ice cold, kind of finishes. It's, the Harry Kane through ball. And then it's kind of Son just being one of the most clinical players on earth usually. And I feel like that's kind of what makes Son most special, probably Dark Sun G, is every time you speak to rival fans, or at least, on whatever channel, it seems like they always say Sonny is the guy that, they would really like to not be coming up against. And it's kind of a guy that they seem to have a lot of respect for. Perhaps also because no one wants to give Harry Kane any respect, maybe because, he gets a bit of, kind of slate on the English national team and whatnot. But it seems like, from what I can tell, Dark Sun G, every single fan, thinks that Sonny is like, the most lethal player. They would hate to play Sonny, and they always think that Sonny scores against them. And it seems like, there's not a team that Sonny doesn't score against then at this stage.
No, 100%. And look, before I get into performances, we'll go around the panel as well and get everyone's favorite Sonny moment. So, Jack, what's your favorite Sonny moment?
Immediately what comes to mind is I know Sonny played a huge part in, our City comeback, the 3-2. So I think I'm going to actually say, just because I know he didn't exactly, bag a hat trick of any kind, but I remember he was exceptional in that first half. He was absolutely exceptional and world class. So I'm going to go Man City. That's what comes to mind, because that was a huge win for us at the end of the day.
Love it. Love it. Kuva, what's your favorite Sonny moment, my man?
Hard to beat the 4 goals, isn't it? Actually, I'll go for an individual moment. It was the opening goal against Arsenal a couple of seasons back when he was put through in loads of space and he just curled it in from miles out. It made it look so easy. It was just beautiful, that perfectly executed goal. Or maybe it's the one where he just dribbles through about 400 players.
You just took both of mine, Kuva. You took both of mine.
That was my one. But James, go on. You can describe that goal. I mean, why is it your favourite?
Yeah, I was going to say I had 3, so Kuva took 2. So I'll say the other one before that one gets stolen as well. It's the Champions League semi-final away at Man City, where he scored 2 goals in about 20 minutes and got us really rocking that, and obviously got us to the semi-final along with the Llorente handball. It wasn't a handball, but it was.
Yeah, that's my that's mine.
But no, that one, and obviously the Burnley one where he just ran through the whole team. I mean, it won the Puskas Award. It was just absolutely incredible. Like, went through about 8 players, didn't look like he was going to be stopped. And yeah, that was incredible. I'd have loved to have been there that day. I would have been crazy.
Yeah. For me, look, it's got to be the Burnley goal. I mean, that's just Sonny at his absolutely most devastating at his best. And look, Forest definitely don't want to let him run at them today because there's potential of seeing it again today. But big up, Dark Sun G. Hopefully you enjoyed our favourite moments as well. Big yourself, brother, and I really do appreciate the support, my man.
Basuma to score, he says as well. Love to see that. Basuma to score. Maybe he says Basuma, I think, as well. I would love to see that. Love to see Basuma get some minutes.
I'd love to see it, but you know what's going to happen today, Jack? Mr. Dorr from when he was on the other night, saying, just kind of putting Kane aside, he's going to regret that today. Kane's going to show him why you always keep Kane in your mouth. That's what's going to happen. But big up, Dark Sanji. Really appreciate it.
Sorry, I was just going to say that one was really good as well. Someone said about the individual run against Chelsea when they were wearing that yellow kit at Wembley. Do you remember? I think he came in from the right, went down the halfway line, all the way down the right wing, cut inside. I think he skinned Alonso. And came back inside. 2017 or 18?
The 3-0. Yeah, they showed that. Yeah, that was also world class. Yeah.
Well, big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate your support, my man. Good to see you in the house, Tequila 316. We also have Big Boss Man. He says the Two Kings of Spurs YouTube. Jack and David Long. Love you guys. Big up, my man. Really appreciate that. Look, I would settle for a Prince, but if you think I'm the king, I would take that all day long, my man. Big yourself. Now, guys, we do want to get into talking a bit about form and maybe performance today. So we'll get into that. Jamesy boy, despite not playing anywhere near our full potential, we have picked up 7 points from 9 fixtures that yielded 0 points last season. Have we started the season the way we needed to, or are you concerned by the manner of performances?
I'm not concerned. However, if we do play like we did in the first half against Wolves and Chelsea today at a fierce, atmosphered Forest ground, I think we could honestly go 1 or 2-0 down early. That's my. If we start like that, I'm not saying we will. So that concerns me. The form in the opening games in the first half has just been so poor. Like, all the players look like they need that Conte kick up the arse to actually do something and actually respond. And that's a bit concerning because, after that Chelsea game, we shouldn't have seen that happen in the Wolves game. And we were probably as equally as bad, I think it's fair to say, in that Wolves opening half. So to be honest with you, I'm concerned on that front. Hopefully third time lucky in that sense that we don't play really bad again in the first half. But it is promising on the other hand that we're picking up points like against Wolves where we won 1-0, where we didn't really play very well. Okay, we played a bit better second half, right? But first half, it was like 8 shots to 1. Second half, yes, we got a good, well-worked goal. Perisic obviously flicking it onto Kane for the goal. But Wolves, if they had a striker, they would have honestly probably got a 1-0 at least, maybe even a 2-1. So, and we saw that last year, 3-2 when they came to our place. And I think you were there, Dave and Jack. I can't remember, but yeah, it was. That's what I need to see today. I've been on this channel so many times where I've said we need to start well. We need to start well. It seems to be a bit of a Tottenham thing in the last year, but we really need to respond today in the first half.
No, I could not agree. Just maybe a quick follow-up question. Do you think it's a ploy by Conte to get these teams to actually draw them out? So he instructs us maybe for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. I know it's rolling the dice, but do you think it's actually a tactic where he says, look, we know how good we are going forward. So instead of just going forward and making them be on the back foot and having them sit in, he actually encourages them out. Do you think it could be a purposely ployed tactic?
What you mean, like almost to wear them out in the first opening half and then we come at them second half?
He would just give them belief that they can actually get something out of the game or sniff a chance, draw them onto us early and then spike them on the counter.
Right, yes. I would say, yeah, that is a good point. But also, if you look at the counter-attacks in those 2 games, against Chelsea, I think Son got brought down and we probably would have had a very good chance. But apart from that, on the counter-attack, we look lackluster and we don't get out of our own half. So on the flip side, if we're going to use that tactic and it's meant to be a smart play, it's really not playing off smart at the moment.
Okay, fair. Yeah, no, fair. I just said I'd ask. Who else have we got? We've got Wu-Tang Gambino. Big up, my man. Absolutely love that name. What a name. I was about to say the Wu-Tang Clan. Remember them? They were a music group. Big yourself up, my man, and hopefully we see you on the fan shows every Monday and Friday. Big yourself up, brother. I really appreciate support. And everybody else, if you are enjoying this today, make sure you smash that like button. Also, obliterate that subscribe button. Show your passion. Absolutely smash it. I want to see broken screens. James will replace them. Just send your invoice to James. And everybody, feel free to get your super chats in to help support the channel as well. It highlights your comment in the chat, and we'll get straight to it and have a good discussion on it. This time we'll work our way backwards, and we'll go to you, Coover. Contrary to last season, I think I said that word right, we have proven we don't have to be at our best to win matches. Does that actually make us dangerous then this season?
Well, it's a good trait to have compared to losing them, obviously. So, I think you can only rely on that so far. When it becomes something you rely on, you start getting into trouble. And eventually, all that pressure you're inviting, it does start getting through. You do start cracking. You can't keep this going forever. We are not watertight at the back. That's the big issue there. When Mourinho did it at times when it was a tactical game, or when Conte's done it before, we've been watertight at the back. That's what you build from, is making yourself impenetrable so the other team wastes all their attacking energy on you. But we're not doing that. We do leak goals. We do give away silly free hits at goal, especially from set pieces. We can't afford to do this. I think it's falling apart because at times because we're so bad at building from the back. We've got some poor, talent-wise, very, very poor players at the back there. It's slowing our play down entirely. So it ties in with, is it a tactical thing that we're doing this? No, I don't think it is at all. I think we're just not very good at what Conte wants, which is building from the back and maintaining possession and maintaining control of the game. So we're having to rely on counter-attacks rather than it being a more of a tactical thing. You could argue with Conte's teams that they're best, where you'd have the two great holding midfielders, rock solid defense, but you'd have the wing backs that have license to roam forward. And ours, bar Perisic, that's the only one we got really doing that. So I think it's just a case of we haven't got the personnel to play quite how he wants at the moment. So we're finding a way. It's not pretty, but the results are coming. Take it. I'll take the 7 points and not playing very well rather than, maybe playing a bit better and we lose 2 of those games.
There's a good point about playing out from the back, because also I feel so much less confident not having Romero, because not only is he a rock in his presence and he mops up silly moments where Dyer or whoever lets the players in, not pointing fingers, but he also calms it down coming out from the back, passes to the fullbacks or plays a long ball rather than you fear coming out from the back with Sanchez and Dyer and Davies, don't you?
Yeah, not even that though, James. He's the best, distributor of even, because center backs, even because it's a back three, they will have lots of time on the ball. So they technically should be able to pick out maybe passes more than even sometimes the midfielders should, because the midfielders are usually the ones that are given a lot less time on the ball. Because if you give them time on the ball, you're just asking to lose. But in the center backs case, they should, have lots of time to be able to find, pass into Harry Kane, maybe ping something to Sonny or, play Kulusevski or, find a good pass for whatever player in the team, because they sort of are given the most time on the ball. And as we know, Romero, when given that time on the ball, he doesn't usually, settle for some sideways sort of like pass, just to keep the percentage up. He usually goes for a very kind of dangerous, pass to sort of break the lines at least a little bit up the midfield. And it feels like Sanchez especially is kind of the one that maybe when he gets into some confidence or he's given lots of time on the ball, he will try to do that. But the case of Sanchez is sometimes he's taking 2-3 touches just to get it under control. And then it's already too late, to be able to, play that dangerous pass. And I think I feel like Ben Davies used to be good at it. He used to, I think, play those dangerous passes. Maybe this season, it just feels like he's kind of being a bit too safe, if you ask me, in certain moments, because he's like pretty high up the pitch whenever he gets the ball, and feels like the center backs. And I know Dave has, been saying this all week, but I guess this is my version of saying, the same thing, is that the center backs are actually given the most time. And so therefore they should probably be picking out the most dangerous passes, in some cases.
100%. 100%. Just quickly, I just want to do a quick mic check. I'm aware my mic isn't the best. So does it sound good now?
Yeah, fine.
Better?
All good, Dave. All good.
Oh, now you've messed it up.
Now, 1-2 to the Spurs one time.
I think you didn't need to mess with it. You didn't need to mess with it.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Can't hear you now.
Okay, we're back now. Yes, you can.
We're good.
There we go.
Absolutely love it. But Jack, I know
sorry. I was just going to say, while we're on the subject of Davinson Sanchez, Emerson, there's a reason they get more time on the ball than anybody else. Is because nobody fears them. They do not use the ball well. Davinson Sanchez, they'll just drop off, let him have the ball at his feet. It's going nowhere. The best he can do is a sideways pass. Really, he's bad doing it. Same with Emerson when he gets forward. Teams will let him cross the ball because they don't fear it. That's the real problem. That affects the whole team. That's not just a defensive thing. It's start of your attacks for a lot of the time.
We need more dangerous people.
Yeah,
we need more dangerous people in possession. In our back line or in our fullback positions. Yeah, I agree.
Also, the added benefit with Romero is, as well as having that passing range, he's so aggressive getting forward. It's like having an extra midfielder in there while he's a defender, and we miss that as well. And
a striker sometimes when he's loose cannoned up to the top of the pitch. Yeah.
We just miss I'll just miss him so much. I really do. I really can't wait for him to be back for West Ham. But interesting enough, during the week, an Argentinian journalist was saying he was fit for today. But by all means, I reckon he's probably just being held back for West Ham. We will actually get into talking about defence because I want to talk. Is there maybe questions of bringing Langley in? But we'll get onto that in just a few minutes. But Jack, I know 3 points is all that matters. But how important is it that we actually see a much improved performance to accompany the 3 points, especially with bigger games right around the corner?
These are sort of the games that you do just want to win comfortably, as Spurs fans. Of course, away from home, of course, Forest, again, they do have a good home record and whatnot. But we have sort of scraped by, at home, against Wolves. I think Wolves sort of always kind of make teams, struggle a bit. Chelsea, we all know, was kind of, a game, certainly for the heart rate and certainly, a tough one, for us. And then as well, you look at, I think Southampton was probably the only game, that we probably felt, we could actually kick back, relax, crack open, cold ones, and just be able to, watch the game out, it feels like. And I think, we want to see that again, because if we are going to be, most Spurs fans have asked, for at least, I think, third place, at least, a third place finish in the league this season. And that means you're going to need, some 3-0s or at least some 4-1s or, whatnot away from home. It's also nice for the traveling away fans, to, go up, to Forest and, like David said, turn it into a garden and feel like, it wasn't really that, worthwhile, getting all nervous and whatnot. So I feel like Spurs fans probably deserve probably a convincing performance, of some kind. But I don't know, like, James, do you kind of feel the same way? Is it just, Spurs fans maybe, they want to see, just a convincing performance like we kind of saw against Southampton?
I think so. And the other point to add to that is, like, we've got Champions League games coming up in midweek as well. So like Kuva was also saying, the odds of us being able to keep getting out results when we're not playing well, it's going to soon turn, and we're going to start losing or drawing games if we're playing this poorly, especially first half. We really could have been 2 or 3-0 down at halftime against Wolves. Like, there's no joke about that. And against a better team, we could have lost that game in the first half. So I think it's definitely one where we need to see a convincing performance today. And even if we win and we don't produce another convincing performance, listen, it's happy days. We've got the 3 points, but I definitely don't think we can continue to keep playing like this, especially with Champions League games. Decent European teams we're playing. Obviously, we've got a favourable group, but Marseille, Sporting Lisbon and Frankfurt, they're still going to be tough teams, especially go to away from home. So we really can't keep playing like this. But I'm also like, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not like massively concerned about the way we're playing, but I'm also not completely happy because obviously we are grinding out results. But I think the luck will turn eventually if we keep playing like this.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll just take, Dave's second question, Steel's Thunder here. Kuva, with the start of demanding schedule, Tottenham start a run of 7 games in 23 days with a trip to West Ham on Wednesday night. Do you think Antonio Conte should rotate his squad today? Or should he stick with the same team?
Nah, just pick whoever he thinks is on bang on form in training. Whoever's fittest, sharpest, go with that. He's always going to pick a team to win. I don't think he'll significantly weaken the team today. If it was a home game, perhaps he might rest one or two of the key players, keep them on the bench. But I don't think you can show Forest a sort of lack of respect when we're going to their place. It's away games are always tougher for a reason. I think we'll go with a very strong team and just manage it. That is the whole point in having a squad, isn't it? You can change it for the next game. You don't have to necessarily do it in advance of a game. Just manage the injuries and fitness levels after you've got the points on the board on the current game. One game at a time. That's the only way you can do it. That's what the league's all about.
I think we'll see 5 substitutions today as well. Like, I know sometimes you don't use the whole 5, but we'll definitely use the 5 today. I believe like we could even see Spence come off the bench. I think Basuma will come off the bench, and I think we'll use all 5 just because of the I think we've got 7 fixtures in the next 21 days. It's absolutely ridiculous, But yeah, I think even Conte said recently he's going to have to rest even the likes of Kane, so we can expect that soon as well. Not today, but in future games.
No, look, for me, I know we have a squad. We're building a squad and assembling a squad, but for me, you don't change a winning team, and especially with this team, with the big games coming up around the corner. Bar Southampton, we still have to see a nice team cohesive performance. So for me, I think he should put them out today. Hopefully, get a good performance out of them, get the confidence flowing through them, and then maybe after the West Ham game, you could maybe start looking at a bit of rotation. But for today, I would be going with the strongest team possible. Away games, for me, I would be sticking. But Jack, the boss Conte has already admitted that he will start to rotate once the games start to pick up. With West Ham on Wednesday, is this a better game today to make changes rather than Wednesday's London derby?
It's tough because, we did kind of ruin them, with that 3-4-3, and Kulusevski, I do remember, having an exceptional game, as well as Doherty, I think, had a pretty good game, I recall, against West Ham. So feels like, we would go with a more attacking lineup. So I don't know. I called for kind of a 3-5-2, actually, Dave. I kind of thought maybe Conte could actually switch up just the shape, a little bit, because I feel like Jesse Lingard could cause us, a few, problems, being that extra man in midfield. They do have, I think Mangala, as well as that new player O'Brien, who I think was from Huddersfield or something.
Yeah,
he wasn't too bad. Yeah, he's not too bad. Mangala, has been good for them. I think according to the, the Forest fan that we spoke to recently, he liked that signing. And so you kind of look at that extra man in midfield then with Lingard. I'd like to maybe throw in Basuma. I know people are calling for, dropping Son. I say you actually put Harry Kane and Son up top, maybe have Richarlison and Kulusevski sort of there if you need, for something different, if you need it. But actually, perhaps, with Skippy kind of coming back into things, I know he's not totally fit, but you could, consider just going for a different shape. Go for the 3-5-2, have an extra man in midfield, outwork them there, be defensively solid, maybe have, Højbjerg or Basuma making those kind of, surging runs. I think it could actually work out for us. I think it'd be an interesting kind of, I don't know, like an audible, something that they might not expect. And, then again, if it doesn't work, you could just throw in Kulusevski, switch to a 3-4-3. That's what I would say he could do.
Interesting. We will see what formation Conte decides to go to. I wonder will he actually throw an extra man.
If you were to rotate, that'd be an interesting way to do it, because then you're not really dropping Sonny, you're not really doing anything that, crazy.
I'm just not sure we have the midfielders available to us right now to do that, especially with West Ham Wednesday. I'm not sure we'd want to start all 3 of our midfielders today, but you just do not know with Antonio Conte whatsoever. Kuva, we'll get into talking about the defence now. Conte will probably most likely pick the same back 3 that kept a clean sheet versus Wolves. But we have had problems transitioning the ball, like we were talking about, from the back into the forward areas or even into the midfield areas, which was evident versus Wolves, with a lot of over-the-top passes being misplaced. Would you bring in Langley today with his long passing range to help us transition from the back easier and hopefully give us a different dimension going forward?
I think the sooner we get quality into the back line, the better. So, yeah. I think Ben Davies has been much improved, of course, but I still don't think he's like this great player, best in Europe that people are bigging him up to be.
Who's saying that? Who is saying that?
Jack was
you'd be amazed how many people say it.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it's like we people. The amount of time you hear people saying, "Oh, we've got to improve this, we've got to improve that," and as soon as you mention which player needs to be replaced, oh no, we can't replace him. He's brilliant. He's done so much better than last season. It's like we're stuck with the team. Anyway, Langley in, Romero back in as soon as he's fit. Will look a lot better for it from my point of view. And hopefully we can get Doherty fit enough to start a few games, because I don't think he's the complete wing back either, but I think at least he's a better attacking wing back than Emerson is. They're both sort of half players as far as I'm concerned. Put the two of them together, you've got a good wing back.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's true. For me, I would love to. Hopefully, Langley gets into this defense shortly, because, like, people are going mad, and stuff. And for me, I keep saying it. The definition of insanity: keep persisting with the same thing and expecting different results. Ben Davies, decent defender, but there's so much more he lacks that Langley can actually add when he comes in, which is the passing out from the back. I think that'll be absolutely crucial for us. And this guy has a good range of passing into midfield. He can put it over the top for the forwards. Not a problem. This guy is so much better on the football. Him one side, Romero the other side. Honestly, it gives me a hard on thinking about it. I cannot wait to see that happen.
But like you said, Dave, you can't really change a winning team at the moment. Like, I think eventually that change will happen when we either lose a game, draw a game, or really play really poorly. And I can't see that happening, obviously, today. But I do see that happening eventually. But you guys agree, like you said it yourself, Dave, you can't really change a winning team at the moment. You can't change that 11, I don't think, at all.
Well, you can't change the midfield or the forward lines, but you can definitely change one of the centre-backs. I just think bringing in Langley for today for Ben Davies will give us what we're missing when Romero's on the right-hand side. Now, he's out today. And last week, we really struggled in terms of possession. Like that first half, that defence could not transition that ball whatsoever. And we cannot afford to do that today. Forest, I've seen them. They will just shoot on sight. They've been instructed. From what I've seen from the last few games, any opportunity you give them, they'll shoot on sight. Brennan Johnson running at that back line today scares me. O'Brien running at that back line today scares me. They will punish that back line. And for me, if we want to dominate this game, you've got to bring in someone that's better on the ball, because you dominate the ball, you'll end up dominating the game. And today is all about keeping possession. Make them work for it. Run around, and pick your passes, nice, neat passes in midfield. Get it under control. Transition it into the forward line. And for me, someone like Langley will bring that, because it was evident. We missed Romero's ball playing ability at the back last week, in my opinion.
I think to be fair to Ben Davies, he's probably our most progressive of the centre backs we've currently got fit.
That's true.
Which is a bit of an annoyance, because that's Langley's natural position to go into the team. So could we see him over on the right, maybe?
He's left-footed, isn't he? He's left-footed.
He is, but if you got talent, you can do that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Jack, Vignesh here says, yes, we can try a 3-5-2, Basuma in for Kulu. But then what do we do Wednesday? Everyone's going to be tired.
With the mid, well, I kind of like to think that, maybe Højbjerg and Bentancur, could probably not have to work as hard if they had, someone like a Basuma, sort of in there with them. And maybe then means that Papa Matasar would have to be named to the bench, which is probably a bit unrealistic. It's just kind of, an idea, because if, we are going to go with the 3-4-3 against West Ham, which I think we probably should, because we absolutely tore them apart, with that sort of shape and, that front three, perhaps, that means you rest, one of the forward line players, Kulusevski, maybe take off Sonny 60th, 70th minute for Richarlison if we're in good shape, and that way you find a way to rest most of your forward players. Perhaps the midfield can have one sort of change or rotation, of someone like a Papa Matasar. Now it starts to sound ridiculous, but, I just feel like there is a chance, maybe to rest the forward players if we want. But I do agree, you're probably going to tire out the midfield. At the same time, maybe Basuma could actually help out the midfield, make them not have to work as hard.
Look, I'm not opposed to Basuma coming in for one of them, but I am opposed to putting the three midfielders. Just West Ham, their midfield is strong. We are going to have to work incredibly hard Wednesday in that midfield area, and I just don't want them being overworked today or overplayed today. And
Yeah,
not
maybe you actually rotate Basuma in for the 3-4-3 then. Yeah, that's actually what you do, so you don't overwork Bentancur and Højbjerg. I agree.
But big up, my man, and really appreciate the support, brother. Top man. Now, James, I want to get into talking a little bit about Jed Spence. I don't want to spend too long on it because he won't be playing today, but I do want to talk a little bit on it because it's only fair, with Forest today. Now, there have been a lot of questions around the fan base about Jed Spence, and it's only appropriate, like I said, we bring it up today because we're playing Forest. But Conte, during his press conference yesterday, the other day, when asked about Spence, he said, I was very clear at the start when I said this signing is a really good prospect. He's a young player. This signing, the club wanted to invest in this player. The difference is clear to play in the Championship with Nottingham Forest and then with Tottenham. He needs time to adapt himself in many aspects, in the physical aspect and the tactical aspect, because now he is working with another coach. I'm seeing a lot of desire, a lot of will from this player to try to reduce the gap and be ready. With a young player, it's important to have patience, to work, and then to improve. Now, I'm sure, he says, I'm sure Jed, for the future, will be an important player for Tottenham. Now, James, what's your thoughts on these comments? And if you're Jed Spence, are these comments that you want to hear? Are they positive, or are you concerned that maybe you just see a lack of game time here going forward? What's your thoughts on the comments from Conte?
Well, just quickly before I answer, was that quotes from the last press conference this week?
Yeah. It was held back from when it was released. It was held back and released yesterday. That part of it.
Wow. So I didn't actually see that. So he's technically repeated what he said about it was a club signing rather than a Conte or a Paratici signing, which is interesting. And it's a concern for him, of course. He's not going to get much game time in the Premier League for sure. I think he's the third choice right wing back. Could be controversial. Some people may say, he's better than Emerson, but at the moment, obviously, we know Emerson's been starting. But the other thing to remember is he is very young. He's 21 years old. He has got time. But then I don't want it to be a situation where it's like a Pepe Matasar, where maybe we see Jed Spence go out on loan next year or even in January, and then he becomes a player that becomes on the reserves. And then you see what happened to Joe Rodon, right? Joe Rodon's gone to Rennes. Apparently he started absolutely awfully. He's getting so much abuse on Twitter. But my point is, I don't want to see that happen to Jed Spence because I do think there's a player there. And I don't think the gap that Conte's suggesting between Premier League and Championship is necessarily fair on him, because he was smashing it for Forest. He looked like a proper good player going forward, especially was very decent, very, very, very good player, quick. And I just don't think, you look at Ryan Sessegnon, ask yourself the question, is Jed Spence massively off Ryan Sessegnon's level? Because I would say he's probably not off that level, to be honest with you. And Ryan Sessegnon's getting game time. So maybe, I don't know, it almost seems like there's a bit of a sour kind of situation there where it wasn't Conte's signing. Perhaps he has said that twice now, and that is a bit demoralizing for the player probably. But listen, we have got a lot of games coming up. It's a busy schedule before that World Cup, and maybe he's going to get some game time in the Cups for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, Kuva, what do you make on them comments? And if you were Spence, what way would you feel?
It's a big step up. I think he's got to realise he is coming from the Championship up to the Premiership. There is a transitional period unless you're absolutely gifted, really gifted individual. If that was the case, he would have been commanded a much bigger fee, and there would have been some of the other big boys coming in for him.
Or if there is no competition at all, as well.
Yeah, I think he's got to just knuckle down, bide his time, and prove himself. That's it. It's no good. In fact, I'll be more worried if I hear Jed Spence come out in public, in social media, complaining about it. If he just knuckles down, gets on with the job, fair play to him.
Good answer.
Not worried otherwise. Not worried otherwise. Conte's right. If a player's not ready, he's not ready.
I just hope Spence has learned his lessons, because wasn't it Stephen Warnock he hit back at on social and stuff like that? I mean, he'd be making right off his own back if he does that to Antonio Conte. So I agree with Kuva. Hopefully he can actually keep his head knuckle down and just keep working hard, because that's what he needs to do. And Jack, just quickly as well, my man, what's your thoughts on Conte's words there on Jedi?
Yeah, a lot of words, there were kind of used, in terms of the future, like patience, and it sort of suggests that, Jed Spence, it will take some time, for Antonio Conte, to really bring him into this team, fully, because a lot of those words seem to suggest that, it's going to take some time, and that, he's not eager to really put him into the team right away. I like Kuva's answer, though, where the only way I'd be worried if Jed Spence is upset is if he were to come out, with some sort of Dele Alli, tip the cap, situation, that would be the only time that I would be, at all, a bit worried about his feelings. If it just ends up being tabloids and whatnot saying that he's upset, but there's no, evidence that we can actually point to, then, I think I wouldn't be upset. I think that was a mature answer there from Kuva, because we've been here before with players that have been speculated that weren't, happy, weren't settled and whatnot. And I think you just kind of let it kind of blow over. And also as well, he should be realistic, if he it's not like Nico Williams, at Forest, there was no right wing back, there to begin with. Once Jed Spence, he just gets the spot immediately. Jed Spence is going to a team where he's competing with a young Emerson, someone similar to his age, at some stage, and also someone who's the complete opposite, more defensive than really good going forward, like Jed Spence is. And then also he's competing with kind of a veteran, sort of experienced player like Doherty, who has a lot of experience and sort of has been there and, played in, much more, Premier League games as well as international games than, Jed Spence has. So he's kind of coming up against two very different players, and he's going to have to realize that not only is he coming up from the Championship, he's competing with two other players that Antonio Conte has favored in the past.
No, 100%.
It's not easy. You don't just walk into the team, because in the case of Nico Williams, just to bring an example, Nico Williams walks into that team because there's no right wing back there. It's a totally different world.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, with Jedi, I just hope he keeps his head down. The fact that they have a specific coach working with him, I do think when this guy gets his chance, he'll actually explode onto the scene at Tottenham. I just have that feeling about the kid. He's just got to keep his head down, work hard, and keep doing what they're asking him to do. I think when I listen to a lot of players, they do say the biggest step up from Championship to the Premier League is the speed of thought, how quickly you can do things, how quickly you can compute things. And hopefully Jed Spence can get up to speed with that, because I think he has more natural ability than actually both of our current right wing backs, if I'm being honest. When I see Jed Spence going forward, I think he's a strong, powerful lad, hard to knock off the ball. But what he does need to work on is his end product. And hopefully once he gets that right, you will see this guy in the team and hopefully absolutely flourish.
Yeah, I think all his physicalities are there. He's got the pace. He can take a player on. He's exciting. That's something we are missing on that wing. But as you said, it's the speed of thought. The only criticisms I had with him from watching I only saw him about 3 or 4 times last season, to be fair, but he does seem to be a little bit indecisive on the ball. It's the moments when he should do a simple pass, he takes the wrong choice sometimes. It's things that come with just playing with quality players for a while. Yeah, it will come to him. I think that's going to be the thing that holds him back for a few weeks.
And plus, it's costly. So I think we're right doing what we're doing. At the end of the day, what you don't want to do is, especially with the way and I'm not criticizing the fan base, but with the way this fan base is split, I don't think it's the right moment to thrust the young lad into the spotlight, because everyone will be looking, straight away at this guy. And maybe if he doesn't do well, people will write him off very, very quickly. So I do like what we're doing with this guy. Bring him in, let him settle, and then just let him develop.
Conte's got a superb staff, hasn't he? They're going to get him up to speed. We'll know very quickly if he's going to make the grade or not, I think.
Do you know what? 100%. But if we put him out there, like you were saying, Goof, and he does make that wrong pass, that'll cost Tottenham. That's when in the Championship, you might get away with it. But in the Premier League, it becomes costly. And the last thing you want is Jed Spence cost Tottenham. He's only a young kid. So I think it's right to just pull him back a little, let him develop, and then when the time comes, put him in there. Sorry, James.
No worries at all. These are really good points from you guys. I was just going to say, do you know what a good first game would be for him? Like in terms of a start, I think against Forest in the Cup away. I think that makes complete sense. I mean, there's a lot of tough games before that, and obviously, like we said, he's probably third in the pecking order at the moment. So I think Forest away in the cup makes sense, and then sub him off if he's not up to it. But we know he's up to it because he's played against a lot of that Forest team. Obviously, a lot of it's changed, but I think it'd be a good game for him.
100%. I agree. And I do want to talk about the two wing backs before we move into the midfield. Killing Goobins, we're going into your favourite subject, Matt Doherty. Hopefully you have the Budweiser at the ready, my man. But before we do, we'll take Sergey Lempel's chat. He says, question for the panel. What is our worst lineup for Forest? Well, I think the back three pretty much picks itself. I think that's the worst back three. You can probably, unless you want to bring Tanganga out, roll him in there. So back three pretty much picks itself. Put Fraser
Kuba's happy with seeing Emerson, right wing back.
At left wing back. Doherty at right wing back.
Harry Kane in goal, maybe.
Yeah.
Put Hugo up front. I think he's chipping goal.
Actually, a better team would actually be putting Sanchez. You actually would be worse. Sanchez, I think, is brilliant up front. So we actually would be a better team if we put Sanchez, further away from the defense. So
do you guys remember where he is? Do you guys remember when Michael Dawson used to go up front, like in some second halves of games? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I love Michael Dawson.
I just think Sanchez is exceptional, near the opposition goal. I've seen him put on some crazy shots, crazy finishes, and whatnot. The guy's actually secretly a striker, I think.
Didn't he do that really good showboat back heel in pre-season as well?
And he had a shot across goal as well that almost hit the post or something. It was
Stop,
crazy.
you're going to convince Spurs fans we need to keep him.
Just playing out of position. That's the whole problem, isn't it?
Wait, exactly. He's been playing the wrong position his whole career.
I will say this today, though. Despite my reservations on the back three, I will actually give them a clean slate going into today's game. So I'm going to say this now. If they do piss me off after 2 minutes, I don't want to hear people saying you're so harsh on that back line. I'm giving them a clean slate, and I'm giving them an opportunity to impress me today. So don't get on to me if they piss me off. But everybody keep smashing that like button. Over 300 in-house would greatly appreciate it. Simon Davies, Gillen goal instead of Fraser
That's
Forrest.
a good answer.
Yeah, you'd be scoring from everywhere. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support in the super chat. Big up, Ribsy85 as well. Good to see you in the building, my man. Mile High Hotspur says, big up, my homies. 6:30 a.m. here, and I can't sleep anymore. Come on, you Spurs. Tricky game ahead. Can't wait to see the lineup. Big up, panel. Much love from Denver. Everybody get over and check out the interview that myself and Jack done over there. An absolutely brilliant interview. Big yourself up, man, my man. Look, what I will say is, I know it's early, but get on a bit of Stop Crying Arteta, followed by Glory, Glory, Tottenham Hotspur. That's what I was doing before I came on today, and I was absolutely loving life. Life couldn't get any better when I was sitting there listening to a bit of Chaz and Dave, so that'll definitely help you get in the mood, my man. Big yourself up, and big love to all the people from Denver, Colorado that follow Spurs. If you follow Arsenal, fuck you. Big up.
Say hi to Parker for us as well. Say hi to Parker for us. Big up.
Yeah, big up, brother. Really appreciate the support, Leo. But look, I suppose we will get in and talk a little bit about. We'll actually start with Perisic and then move on to Doherty. Ivan Perisic took a few knocks against Wolves and was seen being treated when he came off, but has trained all week, so no concerns there. But he is 33. Does he retain his spot today, or should we actually bring back Sessegnon and preserve? And I use the word preserve because you do it with a fine whiskey or a fine wine. You preserve it for a little while. So should Perisic, maybe be rested today for the West Ham game?
What do you think, James?
No, sorry. I was just going to say no. I would play Perisic. I think we said it already. I think you have to play your best lineup, and I understand he picked up a knock, but if he's been training and if he's fit and ready to go, and that's the key part here, isn't it? If the medical staff assess him and he's ready to play, maybe you play him for the first 60 minutes and then you substitute him for Sessegnon, then you wrap him up in a bit of cotton wool for Wednesday night, where he's going to go again. But if there's any doubt that he could, worsen the knock, then obviously you kind of have to start Sessegnon. But Sessegnon's performance against Chelsea was abysmal. I think you've already discussed it before. It's just, I just don't want to see that again. And Sessegnon, he is due some good games, right? He did play well against, it was the first game against I've really forgotten
Yeah,
what the first game. Southampton. He did play very well. He's probably one of the better players, but we can't be having any risks. And Perisic has played solid every time he's played so far. He's much more experienced. He's an absolute baller, and I've played Perisic, to be honest with you.
Kuva, do you think we get away with maybe putting Sessegnon in today? And just because the reason why I say that is because Perisic is only back from a long injury layoff. And he was getting treatment after the Wolves game. He's 33. How many games every single week can he keep playing? Is Sessegnon good enough to come in today against Forest? And also, would you like to see him come in and Perisic preserve like that fine wine I said?
Well, I'm pretty vocal about this. As far as I'm concerned, Perisic is the only wing back we have at the club. So I definitely want to see him play. We've got players that need to drastically improve to do it. Can they do it? I don't know. I have my doubts. So, yeah, at the moment, we're talking about league positions here. Every 3 points is vital. It doesn't matter who you're playing. We're talking about hopefully trying to catch the likes of Man City in the future. You don't do that by throwing away points, by giving people a run out just for the hell of it. I don't think Sessegnon's up to the job normally, but if Perisic is struggling with a little bit with an injury, you've also got to manage that, haven't you? Because it's no good playing him and then exasperating an injury problem. You've got to manage the players, but that's what Conte does. That's what his staff do. That it's all about man management. It's all about managing injuries and fixtures. We're a professional club. They'll find a way. And we are talking about Forest here. We're not going to Anfield. We're not going to the Etihad. Although it's going to be tough. It's not going to be on that kind of level. So can Sessegnon step up if he has to come in? Yeah, I could have given him the benefit of the doubt. Say, yeah, he should be able to do a job. He has found a way in a couple of games. He's not ideal, but let's hope there's some signs of improvement if these players do come in.
Yeah, we definitely need it for sure. Look, I just have a sneaky suspicion Sessegnon might play today and Perisic might
it would make sense.
But we'll wait and see. But Jack, we'll move over to right-hand side for you, your favourite talking point. I mean, Emerson or Doherty today. Again, would you rest Emerson for West Ham and bring in Matt Doherty and see what he can offer and get his season up and running? Or would you stick with Emerson?
I actually would consider, if Conte still has trust in Doherty, if he really likes, Doherty, in certain games, I would actually save him, or, I'd save Matt actually for the West Ham game. Like I mentioned, I think twice now, I do recall Doherty, because we were there even, Dave, having a really good game against West Ham, just because it seemed like, a team like West Ham, they sit really deep. They're a very counterattacking team. They don't really play very progressive football. They pretty much rely on set pieces. I feel like, you want to go with one of your most attacking lineups actually against West Ham, even if you are away from home. I think you want to go with your most attacking lineup. I think that's what causes them, some trouble. If you go with like a team that isn't as good on the ball, isn't as good technically, I think you might, open yourself up a bit more, because West Ham, they are kind of struggling at this moment in time. So I kind of would like to dominate them at their own, kind of pitch, Dave, dominate them in their own stadium. And so I think a player that would help us with that more so than Emerson would be Doherty. So I think you played Emerson in this game, remain defensively solid, not really, worry about, maybe Doherty getting, kind of spun defensively or anything. And then, maybe save Doherty for West Ham, who has had good games in the past against West Ham.
Yeah, look,
if
that's
Conte
fair.
still favors him, that's the question. Like, does Conte still like the guy? Does Conte still, because if he does, then I think playing him for West Ham would be clever. I think that would be clever.
I get what you're saying going forward, but would you worry then defensively with Doherty? West Ham, we know now, Jack. We know they love.
I agree, but I just don't rate. I don't rate West Ham the way that they attack right now. I think their forward plays. I mean, despite having good forwards, despite having good players, I think they're really looking quite kind of dead attacking wise, just because of the way that David Moyes sort of sets them up, and also even under Nuno, Dave, like. We actually dominated them, like even under Nuno. I remember Romero having an exceptional game. He was on the ball the whole game. I remember we actually had more possession as well than West Ham in that game, and this was again under Nuno ball. So I don't really rate David Moyes', tactics going forward. I do rate him defensively, but not going forward. And I feel like that means we should go with a team that would dominate the ball a bit more.
No, fair.
Just a quick one. I don't understand this this kind of in the fan base at the moment. This thing about, you know, does Conte still fancy Doherty? Because like, why wouldn't he? He was absolutely unbelievable for 7-8 games and
6 games.
So 6 games, but would you have? But would you have wanted him to carry on in that position before he got injured?
No, what I wanted him to do was perform for the year and a half he was here before them 6 games.
Yeah, not letting that go. But my point is, I still think on form he's our best right wing back. I've said it numerous times, and a lot of people disagree. But I just think when he was on that form against the likes of Everton, West Ham, and he was really, really top draw. People, I know it was a joke, but people were comparing him to Cafu, but he was really, really good. And I just think Conte, why would he suddenly not fancy him? I think he's the next change in this team if we start playing bad, other than Davies and Longley.
But better to play him in the West Ham game than this one, right? Do you guys agree with me on that stage? Maybe play Doherty in the West Ham game instead of this one? Would you think, Kuba?
If he's fit, I'll play him in both. I agree with James. I think he's a much better player. There's a reason Conte converts wingers into the wing backs. It's because the primary role is the attacking side of it. That's why Emerson's so poor. It doesn't matter how well he does defensively. If he does not add to that attacking play on the right wing, he's not doing the job that's required. I dispute that Emerson's that great defensively as well. I think it was Tommy on Hotspur Hood that I remember mentioning this ages back. I suspected Emerson's great stats come from him recovering the ball that he's just lost, and it actually did tie up with I think it was Tommy put in some analysis on it, and it did tie up. But you know, that's just opinion anyway. Anyway, I'll just stick with the idea that we need attacking play from those wing backs. Emerson doesn't offer it. Doherty does. It puts him ahead.
I disagree on Matt Doherty. I watch this guy more than anybody. I watch him for Ireland all the time as well. And I do not miss a game. And for me, when I see this guy, people think he's better going forward. He had 6 good games for Tottenham, don't get me wrong. But no one talks about how many times Doherty passes it inside to look to receive it again on the outside, but does not pass it to the right man. Doherty is a lot worse than what people say. I know a lot of you guys seem to think he's better going forward. I think maybe he's slightly better. But he's not as good as people think he is going forward. The guy gives away an awful
I think they're both crap, Dave. I'd get rid of both in a heartbeat.
Yeah, look, I disagree on Emerson. You know I love Emerson. He's for me, I do think he's good defensively. Despite what many people say, I think he's absolutely solid defensively. Going forward, there's questions there. Obviously, there's questions there. We can all see that. But defensively, I do think he's better. And this is why I also disagree with Jack a little bit. I would actually rather have him against West Ham because of his aerial ability, dealing with corners and balls into the box.
They are a big aerial team.
I've seen Matt Doherty outjump time and time again. But hopefully he can prove me wrong if he does start, and that's what I want at the end there. Yeah. Hopefully he can prove me wrong defensively and go forward. But look, that's enough on our defense. Let's move into areas that doesn't give me so many headaches, and it is that midfield. It may give other people more headaches, but it doesn't give me one. And we'll start with you on this one, Jacko. Considering the difficulty Spurs have had control in the midfield in their open 3 matches, is it now time to bring in Yves Bissouma to see what he can do into this midfield? And who would you drop today?
It's tough. I feel like you do. I know people really love, Bentancur more than Højbjerg, but what I have at least noticed is that, it seems like Conte in the 3-4-3, the new kind of change that I've seen is that one of the midfielders likes to drop deep and sort of sits right next to Eric Dyer, so that Eric Dyer doesn't have to be the one to sort of make those, kind of hero passes, as I like to say. Maybe you can give it, the responsibility more to a midfielder. It seems to be Højbjerg that will drop next to Eric Dyer. That then means, Davies gets to be able to push up a bit higher, which we all like to see with the left-sided center back. Feels like Bissouma would be probably better to be receiving the ball in the middle, not the one dropping deep. So maybe, and that's kind of the role Bentancur has been playing, the guy that will kind of just stand there in the middle, be able to receive it on the half turn because he has the beautiful, kind of footwork and that beautiful first touch, and he can kind of just take it from there. Whereas Højbjerg, you wouldn't be able to say the same. So I feel like maybe you do actually consider, since Højbjerg maybe has a better passing range, at least from deeper positions, I think, than Bentancur does. He's not as good of a ball carrier, I think, as Bentancur by no means, but I think Højbjerg does have a good deep lying sort of kind of passing range. And so maybe you kind of put Basuma in, to kind of pick up the ball and drive through the midfield. Because what we were missing, Dave, was someone that could, pick up the ball, be able to carry it through midfield, kind of link up the play, kind of take a risk. And it just felt like Bentancur wasn't doing anything wrong. He just wasn't getting on the ball, as much as we want him to. So maybe you just try Basuma instead. But I know maybe people might disagree with that.
No, look, I think at some stage you are going to have to bring Basuma in to see what he can actually offer that midfield, if he offers anything better than Højbjerg or Basuma. So it'll be very interesting to see if he does get the nod today, which would be very, very interesting. I see a lot of people saying about Dan James. I see them rumours kicking up again today. First of all, them journalists need to get a bit of fucking respect. We're playing a game today, so fucking keep them out of the papers today. Talk about the game, not about some idiot that went to Man United, failed, and is now at Leeds and linking them to Tottenham, coming to another big club where he's going to fail again. Journalists, get some fucking respect and talk about the game, not shitty-ass Dan James. Absolutely ridiculous. Dark Song G says it's easier to fix Royale than Doherty because of age, in my opinion. And that's another thing. Doherty is 31 years of age. He's not getting any younger. Emerson is, 23? Look, I agree with you. It is easier to work on him. How much can he improve his ball playing ability in our final third remains to be seen. It does. At 23, you're kind of coming out of that area where...
Yeah, this season will prove it. This season will prove it. Yeah. Because he's getting a lot of game time, Emerson, this season. So this would be the season to see, and measure how much he has improved in that aspect. But I agree with you, Darkson G, and I know that I agree with you, especially on that aspect. I think people still forget maybe how young Emerson is compared to the likes of Doherty as well. So and he's also the same age as Jed Spence.
This is the problem I had with so many of the fans. I mean, not calling out Darkson G, because loads of people do the same thing. Why is it we're so determined to try and fix players that aren't good enough rather than just replace them?
Yes,
I don't get it. It's like with Brian Hill. He hasn't been good enough to break into the team, but it'd be a shame to let him go. Why? What's he done? Why not just go and get somebody that affects the first team?
No, I agree with that to a certain extent. But if we're being realistic, Emerson was never going to replace this summer. This summer was all about filling out the squad and making sure we have a squad that we can put out week in or cover all the games. So like someone like Emerson and Højbjerg and all these names like them I keep mentioning, I get the frustrations. But what are we supposed to do? Let them go, sell them on? When we're in a position where we have to fill out that squad. So someone like Emerson and Højbjerg, they be kept around this year. Now next summer, very well they may be replaced. But for me, look, everyone said it all summer. Emerson be gone. Emerson be gone. All the journals. Emerson first out the door this summer. But he's still here and he's still playing. Conte must like this kid. He must like him. Well, look.
He works hard. You got to admit, right?
It is saying that, it would be nice to be in a position finally just to say, look, get out. Let's bring the next guy in who's good enough. But this summer was about filling out the squad. Now, where the argument comes in, have we done it the right way? That's a different argument altogether. But with someone like Emerson, we were never going to ship him on this summer, in my opinion. There was a lot more players that needed to go, and then we needed to replace them, like Winks, the Celso, Ndombele, and other players. There's probably 5, Jack Clark, Cameron Carter-Vickers, all them players, had to go and stuff like that. So for me, once they were going, it was always about filling out the squad. Now, has the signings been ambitious enough to fill out the squad? That's a different argument altogether, in my opinion. I don't know what people think.
I agree with you, Dave. I think you summarized that well. I also agree with the point that, even if you don't like Emerson, you probably might have to just somehow, have an extra drink, before the game, or something like that, because you're in need to get used to him by the looks of things, because it seems like Antonio Conte, as much as people prefer Doherty, as much as people prefer Spence, Antonio Conte seems to like playing Emerson, and he also enjoys playing Emerson in the big games as well. Clearly, he likes him in the big games, for, kind of tougher teams as well. As much as people, again, don't like him, just have, an extra drink before the game, relax, and just get used to the kid.
The reason why he likes Emerson isn't technically his technical and ability and his skill base. It's because he worked so hard. Like, let's be honest, Emerson is always running.
Prefers Doherty. People say he prefers Doherty. He played more games than Doherty last season, and he was favoured before Doherty came in for that 6-game run.
But what I'm saying is Emerson Royale at the moment, at this current moment in time, is clearly working his socks off more and probably training as well. And when he does play, he is really he does run most of the game, and we've seen it. Look at the exact opposite. And Ndombele, Lo Celso, they're lazy players. They got rid of him because Conte doesn't like players that are lazy. And clearly, maybe Jed Spence is potentially got that. I'm not saying he has, but obviously, like you said earlier about the Neil Warnock situation and maybe Jed Spence's attitude, maybe in training, maybe he's a little bit like a Dele Alli where he doesn't run and he doesn't run his socks off. And that's also a contributing factor to maybe his attitude towards Jed Spence. So these players that do run their socks off and do work hard get rewarded by the manager.
There is a sentimental streak, in Conte. As much as some people might not like that, there is a part of him that sort of gives that sentimental appreciation to players, even if, like you said, they're not technically gifted or anything.
Perhaps it's part seeing him as his pet project as well.
He is a project. He is a project for sure.
There could be something in that.
I think there's even an athletic article, just quickly. There's even an athletic article saying that you're right. Actually, Kuba, Conte has always had some player in his squad that people are like thinking he would just get rid of, that doesn't fit the bill for him, and he weirdly just keeps that person around and just continues to try to mold them into something when there really seems to be no need. But it's just something he's almost torturing himself with. You could say, maybe he just enjoys those sort of projects.
Like a Victor Moses.
Yeah,
like a Victor Moses. Yeah.
Well, that's back to the argument for they need to start off as being attacking players to play wingback. The thing I've got the problem with at the moment is we've supposedly still got 50 million in the bank we haven't even drawn out, and we've just spent 30 million on wingbacks that aren't even in the squad, and we're having to have a conversation about Doherty over Emerson.
Yeah. Look, that is frustrating. I agree with you. That is frustrating. For me, I would have liked to ship Doherty on this summer and get in somebody else. But if I'm being realistic, and look, I do share some of the frustrations, but if I'm being realistic, I don't see us getting in another right wing back before the window closed. We only brought Emerson last year, which we spent money on him. And we brought in Jed Spence this summer, and I think that was probably prioritized over bringing in someone that probably could walk straight into the first team, which is also very, very frustrating. But look, I don't know. Anyway, transfer window is another discussion for Germany. We'll move on. Dark So G says, I would rest Pierre and Højbjerg for Basuma because Højbjerg needs rest for playing all of our games for the past 2 seasons. Also, because he would be wasteful versus West Ham United. James Jack Clark, in my opinion, could not agree more with that. Dark Song G. Kuva, what would you say, Dark Song G super chat here? Basuma in for Pierre Højbjerg today?
I'd certainly bring in Basuma sooner the better. I can only assume he's not been up to speed either physically because he missed some of that pre-season, or he's still adapting to the tactics and what the new players around him. Conte's not one for rushing players in, though, is he? So I think somebody said it's partly to do with the ego side of it as well. No player comes straight into the club and they're instantly into the first team, like they're better than everybody. They got to earn their place. I respect that, but there's a time where you've got to appreciate that Basuma is the sort of player that will dominate a midfield, and we do not have that at the moment. He needs to get in that team. You just have to look at what he did to us twice last season. What he did to the Gooners. They desperately wanted him as well. Let's not forget that. He is plenty more quality player. He's dynamic. He's got all the athleticism. He's aggressive. He can pass it. He doesn't get pressed. He's got the ability to shrug players off. We need him in that team. That midfield's a little bit on the weak side at times. Is it partly to do with numbers or is it partly to do with the player ability? Basuma, for me, adds ability and he's so dominant that he makes up. He almost does the Conte bit where it makes up for having 2 players. I think he's got to come in. I'd put him in today.
I completely agree. I completely agree. But who? My question is for you guys: who comes out? Do you think it's an easy one? Do you think it's Højbjerg, or do you think it's potentially Bentancur? Because obviously
I said Bentancur, but Dark Sun G is coming up with Højbjerg here, and he's come up with good reasons, for maybe why Højbjerg. Because we always overplay Højbjerg, James, and he's one of those guys who would never admit to being overplayed. And that's sort of his flaw. I could say Højbjerg is that he doesn't ask for a rest. And, sometimes we pay the price for it, even, when he doesn't ask, for a rest. So would you, in that, sort of logic, just to defend Dark Sun G here, would you go with Højbjerg maybe to rest instead of
I would take out Højbjerg today because for me, like you put in Bissouma, you replace that ball winning ability. And in a game like today, Bentancur should see space, should see time on the ball.
Yeah, you're
and with
right.
Passing, picking it up and hopefully transition. I think he will be. I think you won't get away with resting him, but you might get away with resting Højbjerg today. But funny enough, against West Ham, I'd actually take out Bentancur and I'd bring in Bissouma because for me, I think with West Ham, you're going to need two real hard-working midfielders who will suffer, who will go through the pain, rather than needing someone like a Bentancur against West Ham. So for me, I'd actually rest Højbjerg today and then Bentancur against West Ham.
Good point, because obviously like Souček and Rice against Bissouma and Højbjerg, you're right, two workhorses against two workhorses. It's match for match, and I think we would out-dominate them there as well.
100%. And Kuva, just to finish off the super chat, James is like Jack Clark in Dark Sun G's opinion, which I completely agree with. I don't want this guy near the club.
Oh, James, sorry, is this for me?
No, different James. Dan James.
Yeah.
Kuva was just trying to digest the.
You're welcome at the club, mate. No, I just don't see the point in it. It's filling out the squad with a player that's not going to affect the first team. We keep doing this. When will we ever learn? I thought this was going to be the season we do change it, and it doesn't seem to be. It's back to the same old habits. For me, with the Bissouma bit, I'd play him ahead of Højbjerg as well, because I see Bentancur as being the metronome. He sets the pace. He dictates the tone of the game. Bissouma's the all-action midfielder. It's a proper blend, that one. Against West Ham, it could turn into a bit of a scrap, bit of trench warfare. Could even be an argument for playing all three of those midfielders. Maybe taking one of the forwards off, perhaps playing Richarlison up with Kane, dropping Sonny, have him as an impact player coming on second half, maybe. But, depends how it's going against West Ham, doesn't it? Sometimes you have to go toe-to-toe in games. And
he loves it against West Ham as well. He absolutely loves it.
Yeah, that's true. He does, doesn't he? I'll sort of will drop Kane and put
not my Harold.
Above me.
Yeah, you'll upset my Harold. I can't have that. Sir Harold Edward Kane. You can't be having that. In fact, does he have a knighthood? No, he doesn't.
MBE, isn't he? I think he's an MBE. Yeah.
It's not the same as a knighthood, though. We want Sir in front of his name. That's what we need.
Oh, right, Sir Harold Kane.
I'll have to email the Palace and see what I can get sorted for Harold. Kev Williams says, I want Spence to get game time. What's going on? Yeah, my man, I was just saying earlier about Conte's quotes from the press conference. Basically, he's training with a specialized coach at the minute. He is training with the senior team, but also training away from them as well, working on a lot of his game. And Conte just said basically it's about improving. It's a big step up from the Championship to the Premier League. So he's working on them and stuff like that. So, look, I think the kid will have to wait till a cup game to get his opportunity. And even then, he might even start Doherty in the cup game and Spence might be on the bench. So we'll have to wait and see, Kev. But big up, my man. I mean...
Actually, what am I talking about dropping Sonny against West Ham? You can't after the hat-trick he gets today, can you?
No,
absolutely not, Kuva.
Exactly, my man. I can't wait. And we'll talk about Sonny actually now in just 1 minute. But I do want to know, like, Kuva, you were alluding to, about the midfield problems and that. And look, Tottenham were the second best team against Chelsea and did not exactly dominate Wolves for 90 minutes. And I'll go around the panel and get everyone's answer on this one. Fans say we have a real problem in midfield. In your opinion, why are we struggling to dominate in midfield and how do we solve it? And we'll start with Jack and work our way around.
I won't, drone on too much on this. So maybe I'll just, kind of discuss, I think what happens is, like I said, seems like Højbjerg is sort of, responsible for maybe dropping a bit deeper. It's not like Bentancur and Højbjerg are just sitting flat, right next to each other. Seems like one sort of drops deep. The other one then is kind of responsible for kind of picking up those passes in the midfield from Højbjerg, kind of turns. And then, like Kuva said, kind of then acts as the metronome, of the team. Whereas like then the other midfielder sits back a bit more, maybe pings passes, from a more comfortable position and kind of plays more defensively. The way that you can maybe force us to struggle is just putting an extra guy in midfield, and then that way, it's kind of, difficult to get a foothold, in the game or kind of get a grasp of, the tempo. It seems like Conte's not too fussed about it, with being dominated in the midfield. It seems like he finds a way, around that, or he doesn't really think it's the biggest deal in the world. Perhaps, it's just part of something we have to get used to as Spurs fans. I would say, though, the reason that we have been dominated, guys, is because we did come up against the likes of Jorginho, who loves to dominate the ball, who loves to dominate a midfield. And we came up against Ruben Neves, who loves to dominate a midfield and loves to dominate a game. So I'm not going to read too much into us getting dominated in the midfield simply because we came up against teams that's their game plan. Like that's how they play. And they've lost games even while dominating the midfield. We've seen Chelsea lose games, dominating the midfield. We've seen Wolves lose plenty of games dominating the midfield. So it just seems like we came up against, a team that enjoys doing that. So I'm actually not even too fussed about it or too worried about it.
Interesting. Anyone disagree with Jack? Feel free.
I don't disagree. I think just to add to it slightly, I feel like what Jack's getting at there about the kind of balance in midfield with Bentancur kind of going forward and then Højbjerg covering or vice versa. It's almost screaming out for a bit more balance with a box-to-box midfielder in that too with Bissouma, because he is really the natural box-to-box player in our squad. There's no two ways. Bentancur is probably more defensive. Højbjerg is 100% more defensive. Bissouma is the player that can get forward and still track back and put in a ridiculous tackle and probably, take one for the team at times. I think that is just screaming out for Bissouma in that midfield. And I can't remember who said it. I think we've all said it. The sooner we can get Bissouma molded into this team, the better we become as a team. I really do believe that.
And Kuva, I mean, your opinion in midfield, do you think we have a really big problem? What is it and how do we solve it?
Again, for me, it all stems from the back. When we don't have Romero in, there's that impetus has gone from the driving forward aggressively from the back there, laying out the passes. He acts like as partially as a central midfielder when he's playing as well. Ben Davies has been forced back more and more in recent weeks. Possibly, well, I can't really work out why. Is it just because we're with Perisic having the incentive to go forward so much more? Davis is hanging back a little bit more to cover a sort of more defensive shape. Perhaps they seem to be a little bit scared to push forward. I think the problem is we are not attacking as a team. We're trying to leave it to our superstar front three, and Perisic joining them, and then everybody else seems to be holding back. Now, is that a confidence thing or is that on purpose? I don't know, but we are disjointed at the moment. And I don't think you can just pin it on the two midfielders. That is a collective thing from the back. I'll even include Hugo Lloris in this because he is poor with the ball at his feet. And we're trying to pass out from the back. Most of our attacks break down before they even reach the halfway line. That's the state. Well, most might be pushing it a bit, but we lose the ball a lot and we end up playing a long ball really often. That is due to for me, that's a lack of talent in that back line.
I couldn't agree more.
You look at Højbjerg, he's taken a lot of criticism, especially from the likes of me. I do think he's too slow to keep up with play a lot of the time. That is his biggest Achilles heel. Bissouma will rectify that a lot. Do we drop Bentancur? Not for me. I think he needs to be part of that as well. I think we just need to support that midfield more. It's the players around them that are letting them down. They do their job. We've seen this. When you give Bentancur any time on the ball, he uses it well. You give Højbjerg a bit of support close to him. He gets stuck in. He doesn't have to worry about staying on his feet. Well, he does stay on his feet. He doesn't have to worry about so much what's happening behind him. If the player's close to him, they're working in tandem. it's a breakdown on the way we play, and I think when the better players start coming in, we will see a big difference. When Romero's back, when Longlay's back, I think we're going to just start hitting form a bit better. Basuma's going to be a big part of that, though, because he's just the midfield dominator.
That Chelsea game, it was screaming out for Basuma, that Chelsea first half, where we just got absolutely battered. Bentancur and Højbjerg couldn't keep the ball. Conte and Jorginho pushed us like mad. Basuma is a player that can outmuscle players like that, swivel, turn, make things happen. I mean, we got absolutely bad that first half, and it was screaming out for Basuma. It really was.
But this is the thing, though. I agree with Kuhl. I don't put it on our two midfielders. Like, when the ball's so slow, and you see it, like, nobody wants to talk about it, but it's so obvious. Our defense is so slow on the ball. Every team just pushes up, man marks, man for man, and it leaves them no option. So even when you're passing it into a player, you're passing it into a mark, and he's already has his back towards the way you want him to go, because the only option he has is to protect the ball and pass it backwards. And for me, that back line, I cannot wait to see Langley. I cannot wait to see Romero in there. But when you watch the games, you're looking at Bentancur and Højbjerg. Often, you see them having to drop in beside Dyer to pick the ball up. Or you see them having to run right towards Dyer just to try and get the ball off him. And for me, like, that can't keep happening. When you look at the likes of Chelsea, City, Liverpool, their midfielders are in midfield, dropping into little pockets of holes in that midfield, waiting to receive the ball because they trust that back line is going to feed them. But also, they do it quickly. With our back line, it's so slow. Everyone's just marked. And that's when you start seeing the long balls. Go back and watch the Wolves game in the first half. Watch how high they were, and they pressed us man for man and left us with only the option of putting the ball over the top. And the reason why they've done that is because they know we do not have the capability in that back line to be able to put that ball on one of our runners in behind's feet. Most of them went back to the goalkeeper, a couple out for a goal kick. So for me, I do think the two in midfield are taking unfair slack right now, in my opinion. And then you're seeing the likes of Sanchez, Davies, and Dyer getting back to the hilt. But no one wants to talk about how much they hinder us going forward. That's just my personal opinion on it. People are welcome to disagree.
Can I just make a point? I agree with you about Wolves, because I did notice that as well. They pushed our centre backs, they panicked, they started booting up there, or they lost the ball. Completely correct. But against Chelsea, I feel like it was a slightly different story. In midfield,
they pressed us even more. Chelsea.
But against Chelsea, the midfielders, for me personally, I think I agree with you about Wolves. But in midfield, Jorginho and Kante were the reason why Chelsea was so dominant in that first half, especially because we couldn't get near them.
Mason Mount and Loftus-Cheek also dropped into the middle, so in fact they had four in midfield against two.
Yeah, potentially, but yeah, I mean it's both, isn't it? I think it's both personally.
I personally don't. I think when you look at that midfield, especially when Bentancur came in, it was more than good enough to get us Champions League, and you know, we had Dyer, Davies, and Romero, who had a consistent run of games, who were playing well at the time. But when you look at the start to this season, bar Southampton, you look at the start Chelsea, how many times did they give away the ball? How many times? Like, they're just so nervous when they're being pressed. They go to control the ball, but they're worried about being pressed, so it's bubbling up. You know, when they go to pass it out, sometimes you're thinking, okay, simple 5-yard ball across that lovely ground that the groundsman has spent all week making sure there's no divots, no potholes or anything like that. And then you see the ball bouncing in towards one of the players, and you're like, holy shit. What is going on here? You know, it's a simple pass. We pay groundsmen good money to make sure that's level. And then we're seeing these balls being bobbled in because someone can't pass it. Or when they go to pass it, they're hitting it with the bottom of their studs and it's fucking bouncing up.
I think one of the groundsmen must have emailed Dave, you know, kind of talking about, you know, the disrespect those passes. Yeah, Dave seems like the groundsman must have gotten in contact.
It's disrespect to the groundsman. It really is. It makes him, in fact, if I was the groundsman, I'd be pissed off because it's like, you're making me look bad. I'm out here with rain, sun, or fucking snow, and you're making me look bad. There's not a pivot. There's not a pothole on this pitch, and you're making me look bad.
Seems like he's made friends, you know, with the groundsman recently in the Spurs ground. You know, just you know, trying to back his boy. You know, he wants to love it.
Not even. It's not fair.
Such a funny tangent.
It's not fair. And we'll move into the forward line, guys. Now, this is Antonio Conte when asked about Son today. You know very well that we are talking about a really important player for me and for the club. For sure, I think Sonny in the last 3 games, he had chances to score, but there is moments, but lucky or unlucky. No problem with Sonny's performance. His attitude and commitment is always very high. Happy about his performances, and I don't see any problem with him. Now, we'll start with Kuva on this, or James on this one. There have been a lot of conversation around the fan base about dropping Sonny ever since last week's game for Richarlison, because Sonny has been out of form. Is it too early, maybe, or even too premature to make such a drastic change to the starting 11? Or should Conte use the 60 million slick Rick? Because others would say that's why we signed him.
Very good point. And I think the difference between last year and this year is we do have that depth. We do have the option when things aren't going too well up front to bring on the likes of Richarlison in one of those front 3 positions. Because let's be honest, Richarlison can pretty much replace Kane, Son, or Kulusevski in any of the positions, which is so great because he's so versatile. But in answer to your first question about, do I think it's more too premature to drop Son? I think absolutely. I think I compared it a couple of streams ago when I was on where Son was in really poor form. It was when I met you at that away game, Dave, in Brighton, and Son was poor again. Everyone was saying, drop him. And I believe the next game was West Ham, and he absolutely, dominated and went on to score goal after goal and get golden boot. I mean, people are quite quick to forget Son does have these dips in form where he kind of goes missing for 2 or 3 games, and then we're thinking, oh yeah, we need to drop him. I'm honestly quite confident today he will get a goal. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe then we do look to Richarlison in a game or two's time, but I just think it's too quick, it's too reactionary to just go, yeah, let's drop Son. I completely agree with the fan base. I think he's been absolutely awful recently, but we know what kind of caliber of player he is, and when he can turn on that form, he can absolutely win a game pretty much him on his own, sometimes with Kane as well. And that is why he's such a world-class player. I just think it's so reactionary to say, let's drop him. But I do agree, we have got Richarlison, so it is a nice backup. So let's see how Son gets on first half. And if he has a stinker, maybe bring on Slick Rick at half-time, maybe.
100%. Just quickly, Leslie Crawford, people that tell me scoring goals at Tottenham is a problem. We need calm. 67 goals in 31 games. Now try and tell me goals a problem. But look, anyway, back to the forward line. Kuva, Jack, anything you have to say on what James said there, and maybe my question about Sonny?
Yeah, Kuva, you go first, because I think I had a lengthy discussion, I think, on the podcast about Sonny, so you should go first.
Fair enough, mate. Yeah, I've got no worries whatsoever about Sonny. I think James hit the nail on the head. He does have periods where I wouldn't say he's playing badly, but it's quiet compared to what we can see from him.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I think this season, his first touch has been a little bit off. Although he'll control the ball, we're used to seeing him control it perfectly to position himself to instantly get a shot away that usually ripples the back of the net. When that isn't happening, we suddenly think, oh, Sonny's not playing well. He's doing okay. I wouldn't say he's playing really poorly. I think he got criticised for his defensive work at one point. I think the Chelsea goals are not chasing back and things like that. I've not really got a big issue with that, to be fair. He is an attacker. I'd prefer to see him concentrate on being the furthest man forward for when we do break. I just don't have a problem with it. Just wait. He is our golden boot winner from last season. Had a worldie of a season last season. He'll hit form again. The goals will start flowing again. All working services resumed. Why panic? We've got Richarlison in. There's no desperation to get Richarlison in the team. There will be plenty of opportunities throughout the season. We could be playing an awful lot of games this season. There will be times when Richarlison has to come in. He may stay in for a bit. He may perform really well and keep players out of the team even. That's the way it goes. That's what you're supposed to do if you're supposed to be a big team. There will be times of rotation. There will be times when players get injuries. Don't worry about it. The goals are going in. We're picking up the points. Just wait for him to hit form. There's no panic for me.
Sorry, just quickly, guys.
Go on.
Can I just quickly add to what I said about, obviously that poor form he had in sort of February last season. He after that Brighton game away, He scored 2 against West Ham. He scored 1 on international duty. He then scored 1 against Newcastle. He then scored 3 against Aston Villa. I mean, we're worrying. That was after 2 bad games, and we were saying,
well, please don't include international duty, please. I love the stats otherwise.
what was that?
I love the stat, but don't include international duty, lad. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, it was against Iran. What a team. I mean,
I feel like, you know, I think with Sonny, you know, probably the part that, you know, maybe I could just add is that he basically has the most credit in the bank, you know, alongside, you know, Harry Kane, you know, so those sort of players, I think it's quite disrespectful to then just say, you know, oh, they need to be dropped, you know, they need to, you know, be kind of, you know, shown the bench, you know, to get their form around. I just feel like they have the best credit score, as you would say, you know, with Spurs, you know, in terms of, you know, being able to, you know, have some poor games and not be criticized for it. Whereas, you know, plenty of other players in the squad, you know, even ones that I like to defend, you know, like Emerson, I think are fully, you know, capable or fully, you know, willing to receive their criticism because they don't have as much credit in the bank like, you know, Son and Kane do, because these guys have been carrying us for years. And even, you know, last season when Kane wasn't firing, Son was sort of carrying Kane. And then right now, at least, you know, it feels like Kane is sort of kind of carrying Son. And it's kind of almost beautiful in that sort of manner. I would say that, you know, Sonny was so good for us last season when, you know, we had the Nuno ball. He was getting us wins, you know, Sonny, when we actually probably in hindsight really depended on those wins because every point counted. So I feel like this is just a time for Sonny just to get back into form. I would give him even 2-3 more games, if you ask me, in the Premier League. I have plenty of time. I have plenty of patience for him. And he's the world-class player, and world-class players on their day, they might pop up with 2 or 3 goals, and that's kind of what makes them world class compared to average, you know, regular players.
Yeah, I agree. I think today is absolutely a perfect game for Sonny to get out of that maybe little bit of a funk that he's in. And look, at the end of the day, I'll be honest, when are we going to learn as a fan base? Well, Harry Kane, one of the greatest ever strikers, you know, 16 goals now, I think it is, off Jimmy Greaves' goal record at Tottenham Hotspur. People wanted to sell him last year, drop him because he didn't have pace, saying this, that, and the other about him. And look what happened. The guy came good, scored goals, and finished as the club's top scorer across all competitions, like I said he would. When are we going to learn about world-class players? What drives me mad in this fan base is I see excuses for Doherty, Sanchez, Dyer, Davies. I've seen them for winks down the years, etc., etc. And then as soon as one of our world-class players has a little bit of an off period, getting out the team, drop them. It's just disrespectful. It's absolutely disrespectful. These guys give you more great memories. In fact, probably 5 times more great memories than you'll ever remember them having a bad game. And across the course of the season, with the amount of goals and assists they contribute, you very ever remember them actually, or bad game they actually had across the season. Just start showing more respect to some of our world-class players in and around this team. You know, look, and anyway, if you want to use the word, you know, dropped, you're wrong. Use the word rest if you're going to talk about Sonny, not dropped. You do not drop Son, and you do not drop Kane. And what I have evidence to back me up from Harry Kane last season. So just get off Sonny's back and just let him get back to the best, in my opinion. But start respecting the world-class players we have around here and stop giving me all these donkey horseshit excuses for some of the crap players we have around when I'm hearing about dropping Kane, dropping Son, selling Kane, blah, 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 blah. Don't do it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the crap excuses for the crap players, and then the world-class players, all of a sudden we want to throw them in the bin. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion.
And the latest one, Kulusevski as well. That seems to gain traction. Drop Kulusevski. Yeah, how many players have made such an impact when joining the Premiership team, especially halfway through the season? Bloody hell! People need to get a grip.
Get them some of that Gorilla Grip. Isn't that the latest one out, you know, in the DIY stores, the Gorilla Grip? That's what they need, my man. But honestly, though, I'm serious when I say this, and I'm not messing. Get off our world-class players' back. Stop making all the excuses. Like, when you look, perfect example, actually, and I don't really want to go off too much. I'm trying to be calm. But people ban this stat around about Davinson Sanchez, 7.5 hours, and you know, fucking dress it up like I'm supposed to sit there and it's like a miracle from Jesus. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. And then you look into the hours that they've added in. Some were sub appearances, and they're all against bottom half teams, relegation teams that don't carry a goal threat. But then in the same breath this week, you're hearing drop Son. I mean, does that not blow people's mind, or do they not get as angry and frustrated as me? Like, you see that about Davinson Sanchez trying to big him up and trying to give him a bigger bollocks than maybe what he has. But then you're having a go at Son, and you're saying drop Son, drop Son. I mean, what has Sanchez done for this team that Son hasn't? I just don't get it. It drives me absolutely insane when I see this around the fan base. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but please stop doing this with the crap players and putting down the world-class players. It's got to stop. We've got to start respecting them around here. Dark Sun G says, I hate how people say drop Son versus Blues and Wolves, which historically and statistically never plays well against those teams. I'm positive from today, Son returns. Jacko, you're nodding your head. What do you want to say to
Yeah, no one. I mean, we obviously, gave Dark Sundry, a good platform, while everybody was having their big say on Sonny, and this being up on screen, obviously, definitely gave some evidence. But I feel like, I don't know, Wolves and Blues, like, he says there, we've always struggled against them. No one has ever really played well against them. Not even Son, like Kane has never played well against Wolves, or Chelsea recently, even Højbjerg, hasn't played well against them. Our best players haven't really had their best games against Wolves and Chelsea. They just seem to be sort of, just teams that we always often struggle against. So I agree with you, Dark Sunji. It's more unfair to then throw Sonny under the bus, like Dave was saying, to kind of attack your world-class players, especially in games that we all know every single player in the 11 has struggled against these teams. So why are we throwing the world-class players under the bus when we already know that we struggle against these teams?
It's just something I just see it all the time. Honestly, I need to take a fucking chill pill. I'm about to.
For me, it's looking at the bigger picture for me. Because they have the same argument about Richarlison. Is he good enough should we have signed him? I've got no issue. I've got no problem with rotating the squad. It will happen naturally. We don't need to force it. And let's say just because Sonny hasn't been.
We haven't reached 2 a week yet, right? We haven't even reached 2 games a week yet. Yeah.
Mic drop by Kuva. Perfect. You said you don't need to force it. Absolutely. Wish I could have said that. Would have saved me getting my blood pressure up. Kuva. Absolutely love that. Joey Chavez says 7 years for Son. Show respect. Big up the panel. Exactly, my man. Exactly. Just show a little bit of respect. You know what I mean? These guys turn up no matter the game, no matter the weather, no matter how many games they're put out there. Every single time these guys turn up over the course of the season. And all I want is just a little bit of respect, Sean. It's all. I'm not asking for much. People ask me, respect the back line, blah, blah, blah. And I'm giving them a chance today. So them same people that say it to me and say, drop Son, I also want you to get a bit of respect for Sonny. So I'm glad we can come to a happy medium here. Saying that, I am actually going to flip the question a little, just to have a fair, balanced discussion. If Conte does stick with Son, does that send out the wrong message then to someone like Richarlison? And I know it's a great question. You don't need to tell me.
It is. It's a tough one. I don't think it does, because I think Richie is probably okay with the role that's being given to him right now. Like Kuva said, forcing the rotation does seem a bit odd. I think once you start playing 2 games a week, we'll start seeing Richie, starting games, and we'll start seeing, him kind of showing what he's been brought in here to do. I think he's looked fabulous since he's come on. In fact, in that Wolves game, I thought that was, the real sign of why we did buy him, because he was getting us, out of, tough situations, or even just, giving us a bit of breathing room with how much, trouble he was causing, that Wolves back line. He carries the ball, when there's nobody in front of him to pass it to. He's almost kind of a bit Lucas-esque, where he's willing to take on, the whole team, in certain moments. And I think Richie is okay with it. I think he'd be okay coming off the bench, yet again. Probably once we start playing 2 games a week, he'll be, pretty interested in, maybe playing a bit more. But I kind of agree with Kuva. I think there's no reason to, to change the 11, for no reason, or, to do it, forcefully. I think Richie is okay with coming off the bench here.
Interesting. Guys, you think it might send out the wrong message to Richarlison, or do you think it'll send out the right message and keep him hungry, keep him working hard?
Yeah, maybe keep him hungry.
Yeah, I think so. I think Jack makes a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, he knows what he's come into. Like, let's be honest, it's not too higher words. Kane and Son, they're club legends. They are club legends, and you've got to do something really special to knock them out of the first team straight away. And like Jack says, as soon as the games come in thick and fast, 7 games coming in 21 days, 2 games a week, we're going to see Richarlison starting games, whether it's in the cup or in the league. Yeah. It's going to happen. I don't think he can start, throwing his toys out of the pram because he's not starting the 4th Premier League game in a row. I mean, it's expected, it's absolutely expected.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Coover, Richarlison had a major impact off the bench versus Chelsea and another impact off the bench versus Wolves. Should he actually be maybe rewarded with a position in the team today, though?
Well, I'll maintain the same thing always in football. You earn your place on the training pitch. If he's ready to come into the team because he's looking sharper, fitter than some of the others, he'll come in. Conte does have favourites, of course. And of course, you can't overlook the fact that Kane and Sonny have been an incredible partnership for us. So that, of course, it's difficult to try and break that up. But as I said a few minutes ago, I think these sort of changes will come organically. You don't have to force the issue. There's going to be times where somebody's not quite fit, does look a little bit jaded, perhaps in training, and Conte will just go, you know what, Richarlison, you're starting this one. And you know what, if it is Sonny or it's even Kane or it is Kulusevski, they're just going to have to accept it because that's what you're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be a big club. The moment we start trying to rotate players and act like a big club, people get up in arms about it. I don't understand either argument. It's not a problem. It doesn't matter if Sonny's a bit off form; he'll recover it. It doesn't matter if Richarlison also comes in. It's fine. It's all good. It's rotation. We got a proper squad there. Then in the front positions anyway. So relax, enjoy it. We're scoring goals. We're getting points. Things will improve.
Just woosah. Just a little. Do you know what? Maybe we should do a yoga session this week, Jacko. Help everyone just chill out a little bit. A bit of yoga, everyone get into the Zen mode, and I think that should be good. I think that'd be good.
Well, maybe some Zoom yoga, led by Dave. We'll see how that goes. If everybody with the fan show membership instead of the fan show, we'll just do a bit of yoga.
In my tights as well, Jack, so I'll give them a treat.
Brian Daigle celebrating 18 months, absolute legend as a fan show member, saying 3 points is a must today. We have to see us put in a first half performance today and not rely on us turning up in the second half. This isn't an easy game. Lots of good points there, Mr. Daigle, and it has been kind of a theme, this season that Spurs haven't really started the first half's well. I guess Southampton's sort of the exception, but we still had to go 1-0 down. It felt like even to, get things going. So absolutely right, Mr. Daigle. I feel like this is, the first time, that we do need to, or this is the time, to show that we can dominate a first half. Then again, though, Forest is a tough team. And, I could see them being very hard, to play against in the first 15 minutes.
Look, I agree with everything Daigle says, apart from it's going to be a hard game. No, it's Nottingham Forest should be beating them. I expect us to rock up and dominate all over the pitch. Yeah, I get they're in the Premier League and you got to do all this respect nonsense and all this super crap that people tell me I need to do. But at the end of the day, it's Tottenham versus Forest. It's the first time up there in over a fucking decade. They should be showing us the respect today. It's the other way around. So for me, I agree with everything you said, Daigle. Bad the last bit. For me, should be an easy 3 points, my man. But guys, that does bring us towards the end of the show. I won't talk about Harry Kane. I'll save that for the pre-match build-up or for 5 minutes on my own before the pre-match build-up either. Could be either or. We're not sure yet. But we'll go around the house, get a channel plug and a score prediction. So we will start with James.
Cool, yeah. You can find... First of all, thanks for having me on again, guys. Always love coming on this channel, especially for the pre-game pump-ups. It does get me right in the mood, and kind of a bit of what's the kind of word? It's a bit of I kind of go a bit, and I go a bit ludicrous. Start predicting like ridiculous results that I wouldn't off camera. So you're getting that in a minute, but you can find me over on Spurs Related. We're pumping out the videos. We haven't for the last week for various reasons, but we'll be pumping back out the videos, the classics, and of course Jack's vlogs that everyone seems to absolutely love. all sorts of content. We're getting the quizzes going on, a bit of an insider. There's some quizzes coming to this channel as well soon, I'm sure. Dave will explain more very soon. But yes, get over to Spurs Related. Really would appreciate a sub. Score prediction. Oh, I've changed my mind twice already today. I'm going to go for a not like this 3 or 4-0. So I'm going for a 3-1 Spurs. I think we'll concede, but I do think we're going to get 3 goals at Forest. And I think it will be a great performance. Son will bounce back with, you're getting the scorers as well. Son's going to bounce back with 2, and Harry Kane is going to get the other one. 3-1 Spurs. Come on.
I love that. I love that. Big up. Everybody get over, check out Spurs Related. We like to make it easy for you here. Just click on the link, bring you straight over, smash that big red subscribe button like it's a Gooner fan. Kuba, I mean, what channel are we doing today? And give me your score prediction.
Well, 3 Spurs boys. I'm doing a segment on Sunday evenings with Bobby K, Couv and the Kang. Yeah, we just usually have a chill out little recap of everything that's happened in the week. Nothing too heavy, just chill out, have a bit of a laugh at a few of our rivals, and talk about the highlights and the lowlights of the week. We're slowly going to introduce some more sections to the game to the show to liven it up and give a little bit of fun to it. But talking of which, I haven't spoken to Bobby all week, which has been busy. So perhaps we're not on tonight. I believe we are.
Like, isn't it? Jaffa cake, mug cake. You want to lay off that goof?
Yeah, absolutely. Haven't had any of that for ages.
Well, we will know what your score prediction.
Yeah, score prediction. I've said earlier, 3-1. So big up James going with that as well. And I believe in all these karma and fate, whatever you want to call it. I'll just think back to when coming into the Spurs community and getting to meet likes of Bob Spur and that. And then he goes into a coma over Christmas and we thought the worst. And he comes back because it was meant to be. Then he goes to his first game in, all that time against Southampton. His score prediction's always 4-1. Everybody knows about that. So we all said, it's going to be 4-1. It was 4-1. Now I'm going for this one with Sonny being put under scrutiny. People saying like he needs to be dropped. I'm putting him to come back firing. It's a hat trick today for me.
Ooh. Love it. Absolutely love the confidence. Sonny fans are going to be all over you, Kuva. They're absolutely going to love you today, my man.
That speech was beautiful. I'm not sure if that was Nelson Mandela or Kuva there. That was absolutely beautiful.
Same age.
Love it. I love it. Last but not least, Jacko, I mean, where can people find you and what's your score prediction, brother?
I'm going to go for the very cursed 3-0. That's what I'm going to go for. I think, a 3-0, I don't like predicting those ones because it's just so easy to say. We all love kind of saying it because it sounds nice, out loud. But I'm actually going to kind of save my 3-0 prediction for this time. Mostly because we all want Spurs to actually dominate this game. We all want us to have a convincing performance like we did against Southampton. Be nice if this were the game that we were to do it, especially away from home, and also to show West Ham that we are the big club, when going to the City Ground, compared to them, we show we can get the job done. So yeah, 3-0 for me, Dave. I think Sonny is going to score. I expect Kane to score. Probably actually Sonny brace, maybe that could be on the cards here. I could see that happening. And then maybe Kane, grabbing his goal as well. So 3-0.
I love that. And what's coming up on the flat cap, Jacko?
I did have a really good discussion, speaking of, which, making fun of the rivals, laughing at the rivals. I had a great discussion with Kieran and Darius about the Premier League. Hopefully we'll do that again. And then also, if we are going after that Zabarny guy, that Ukrainian player, I did randomly, just to show how, much I do love watching football and also how little I probably have to do, is I did watch about 180 minutes of his kind of Champions League qualifying games because, Dynamo Kyiv were in, the Champions League qualification, stages. So I decided to watch Zabarny. I'm going to pull up a few stats on him. So if we do sign him, I'd say check out that scout report.
What I will say is he is heading to London, so I'd say get that scout report together very, very quickly, just in case it is Tottenham. And we have been linked with this guy as well. So be interesting to see if we get a defender in before the window closes. But look, guys, for me, I'm going to go 4-0 today. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I'm actually going to put faith in our back line for once. People say to me, Dave, you need to stop going on about them. So today, I'm going to take your tactic, and I am going to back them today. Now, better not come back. Yeah, better not come back and bite the ass, because it will be. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give them the benefit of it keeping a clean sheet. Even though I technically don't believe it, I do think we might concede. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here on this one. And I just think Tottenham are just going to turn up. I think, look, I've watched Forest, very lucky against West Ham, very lucky against Everton as well. Now, I had thought Everton probably should have won that game. These are not as good as everyone likes to build them up to be. And for me, I think the back line is their real weakness. I think if Kulusevski, Harry Kane and Sonaldo, I think if they all play up front, I think we'll take them to the cleaners. I think Son will score goals today. I'm going to go with a brace from Son. I'm going to go with one from Big H. And he's going to punish that Mr. Door guy for not mentioning his name. And I'm going to go with one from Kulusevski as well. I think he'll chip in. So for me, I'm going to go right across that forward line. Bring it on. I absolutely cannot wait. Guys, you can catch us back here at 4:15 today. Or not, 4 o'clock, I think, today, for the watch along with myself and Jack for today's game. So hopefully we'll see you all back here. Kev Williams says, I hate Arsenal. I mean, look, I think we all do. I mean, what pissed me off yesterday was, Mitrovic scored. I'm sitting there loving it, having my dinner. And then Arsenal score, and then they scored a second. I just turned the play over, I'll worry about cleaning it up shortly. But it's just upset me seeing them happy. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm evil. Maybe I've got a bit of devil in me, or maybe I'm just pure coys. I'm not sure. But I hate seeing them happy. I hate seeing them smile. Even they're showing little kids in the stand smiling. I'm like, take that off your face, little twerp.
Well, it's like a rare occasion, isn't it? You got focusing on rare occasions. Arsenal fans actually being happy. They're still crying their tears from bottling top 4 last season. So let them have their moment, mate. Let them have their moment.
Arteta must have done some very motivational finger painting or something, at halftime, to really get the team going. So they really inspired, a good comeback there, Kev. But absolutely, we'll see them crumble once they face a real team. And it was absolute limbs and scenes. I thought they won the Premier League, like I said before.
Yeah, 30 Mikel Arteta is wearing these famous black fucking jumpers. And it's absolutely...
I think next season he'll be getting the scale extracts out and saying, we've got to go round like these cars.
Honestly, the way they were dressed yesterday, it's like all of us getting together and wearing a full suit to the game and pretending to be Conte. You know what I mean? It's just... maybe a Champions League final or something like that, okay, but, not a game against Fulham who are newly promoted. It's actually embarrassing. And if I was their mother, I'd probably ground them when they got home as well. I'd be like, embarrassing my family name like that. You're grounded. Go to your bedroom. But look, we are going to end it there, guys, and we will see you back here shortly. I'm on my way over to We Are Tottenham TV to speak to Mr. Daigle and Bob Spur as well. Hopefully we'll see you there. And then hopefully you get back here for the watch along. Massive thank you to Jack for getting up early. Kuva had a late one last night, but still arrived. Absolutely love the dedication.
Fine
thank
form.
you, man. And James as well. James, big yourself up, man. Really appreciate you making it today as well. I also want to give a special thank you to all you guys out there watching today. Really appreciate it. Smash the like, smash the subscribe. A massive thank you for all everyone help support the channel financially. And we'll see you very,
Can
very
I give just really quick shout out to Sue Smith? Big up, Sue. I hope you're still recovering well. First person I ever replied to on YouTube, that is. She made a good comment, and I just put spot on. For some reason, I just remembered it.
She's a great supporter of all the Spurs channels. Very dedicated, like Ellie, actually. The two of them, very, very dedicated to every Spurs channel, which is great to see.
Big up, Sue.
Guys, I mean, now is the time for you to go and get the barbecue on, get the beers into the fridge, and let's get ready for this game. Like I said, at Forest is going to be chopped down and it's going to be turned into my garden. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on.
Woo!
Woo!